Jeremy, can you do me a favor and just look up for me just a factual list of things that Trump sells? I just want facts, nothing but one after another, just things that are.
So you don't want the country on the list. You just want.
I don't need your
political.
I don't need your political commentary here. I just wanted facts. I just asked for facts.
Well, those don't exist anymore. But you got it, Dan.
Okay, I just.
We got a great show.
You asked the wrong guy.
Just keep your opinions to yourself for a moment and just find me the facts of things that he sells.
You're like Jeremy Kimmel?
I mean, what is he doing? Honest to God.
It's a monologue, Dan.
People are confused here seeing you in a baseball cap. I don't recognize what's happening around you. You do look 15 years younger, and because of Ramadan, it looks like you have lost a good amount of weight. You look leaner, too.
When you say people are confused, is that a euphemism for I'm confused?
No, I wasn't confused and didn't think of it at all, but Chris Cody mentioned to me, he said everybody over here was confused by you in a baseball cap.
Just multiple comments from the room. It means in a hat.
I mean, I wouldn't. It sounds like he thinks you normally look like crap. Like you're wearing a hat. You look a lot younger. Oh, did you lose weight? Because you were looking really pudgy before. Now you're looking a lot better. Is it Ramadan? What's going on with you, Amin?
It does sound like all those things, doesn't it, Billy?
As of September of 2024, MAGA hats, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, socks, campaign flags, jewelry, mugs, signs and banners, Trump coins, Trump crypto, calendars, authorized books, books endorsed by Trump, signed by Trump, action figures and dolls, photos, commemorative medallions and plates, challenge coins, don't know the difference between that and the others, phone cases, laptop decals, Trump-branded vitamins and supplements, Trump wine, Trump bottled water, Trump cologne, Trump merchandise for 2024, NFTs, watches, and, of course, the Trump Bible.
NFTs?
I'm so pissed because, like, when they made the Gulf of America proclamation, I was talking to someone. I'm like, dude, I want to sell Gulf of America maps because, like, this is a grift that, like, people will buy maps that say Gulf of America, but, like, I need to be the first to market on this, right? But then I was also thinking, if I print up, like, 20,000 Gulf of America maps, I need to really be certain these are going to sell because, like, that is an investment that is going to lead to me having 19,800 Gulf of America maps like in a garage somewhere and a loss of like $40,000 that I do not have.
Billy, they're buying them up like hotcakes, man.
The thing then also is I was thinking, I'm like, well, I'm not a cartographer, right? So like, how do I go about making a map? Because how, like, the Earth is the Earth, right? Like, it's not like, this isn't like a copywritten thing where, like, if I just trace someone else's map, they would know. Like, you know what land masses look like, more or less, right? Unless, like, and here's the thing, maybe there are cartographers that are out there that are like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add an extra little bump to Florida and see if then someone has this bump on their Florida, and then they know that they're just copying my map. So these are all the thoughts that went through my head when I was like, you know what? I can get in on this grift and make like a quick buck and just get in and get out and just sell these maps. But then I was like, there are a lot of downsides here that could lead to me having over 19,000 maps that I traced someone else's, you know, intellectual property land masses. And then I'm like in a lawsuit for hundreds of thousands of dollars on fictitious maps just to get in on a grift. So I didn't do it.
You know what's funny about that is the shape of Florida and having a little bump on it. It fits.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat from the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in a cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I feel like we need a new phrase for selling like hotcakes. We need something to replace hotcakes. I don't think that anymore that hotcake sales are representative of the way that things sell the most. And so I'd like some nominees from folks on something that sells because it's an outdated phrase. And when did anyone call them hotcakes? What year are we talking about?
Well, here's a suggestion. What about selling like flapjacks?
Greg's right.
The thing that I wanted to get to with you guys today is Jessica and Amin stomping in today saying, and this is saying something right here, that yesterday was a show for all time with bad takes. That it is one of the worst shows we've ever done, based solely on the opinions had on the show. One of them, and it didn't make anyone's top 5 list, was Tony saying LeBron has more protection than the president. That wasn't even on the list of like bad takes for all time. So, Jessica, Amin, the floor is yours.
Do you want to go first? So the take that made me the saddest was about Righteous Gemstones. That made me sad that you guys didn't appreciate the art. That was the first episode of the new season of Righteous Gemstones. Yeah. Also, you made false claims that it was the most expensive episode they've ever shot, which Danny McBride said is not true. They filmed it in 10 days. Bradley Cooper didn't get paid anything. He had never seen the show before. He was just coming in hot, and he was like, I'm going to be Elijah Gemstone, and the entire episode is about how this family's entire fortune is based off of a grifter, a Bible grifter. And if you didn't catch that, it's not really a spoiler. The whole episode's a flashback.
Catch that.
If you didn't really catch that.
Didn't catch it.
It's
Okay, missed that. Okay. Just missed it.
I mean, it's giving you like a origin story about this family and how this all began. And it was perfect for tying it into how they exist now in the show.
So the entire episode being set in Civil War era America in the South, the Gemstone patriarch, the original Gemstone, if you will, I didn't know that Bradley Cooper had never watched the show, because I was staggered watching him, how he sounded like Danny McBride's character, like the way he was dismissive, the way he's kind of like, all right, he's clearly not sincere in any of this. It made me respect Bradley Cooper as an actor even more. I was like, wow, he's really nailing this, in the same way that when they do the flashback episodes in prior seasons where they got the little kid playing young Danny McBride, how he nails it. I'm like, oh my God. And the little girl that plays young Judy Gemstone, like, oh my God, they're doing such a great job. These kids are really good actors. Watching Bradley Cooper do it, where it's not overt like the kids do, where they are just younger versions of the characters they're playing, where it's just, hey, this thing runs through the family.
It's a wonderful show. It's a wonderfully artistic show. As people complain about being able to do comedy well, they skewer religion in a way that is amusing. But that's why we had the worst takes in the world
That
yesterday.
was one of them.
I think that one made me the saddest, because I appreciated that episode. I was like you, Dan. I turned on the episode, and I was ready to see what Uncle Baby Billy was up to. I was ready to see what Keith was up to. I was ready to see what all my favorite friends, the Gemstones, were up to over this long hiatus. But 10 minutes in, I realized, okay, this flashback is not going to come to present day. This is just going to be like one big flashback episode. I'm along for the ride now. And I was waiting for them to sort of like tie it all together. And at the end of the episode, they did. They landed the plane. And I was like, I see what they did with this. And it made me sad to hear that you and Mike both didn't like it.
I was in it the whole way. As soon as I saw, oh, it's Bradley Cooper. And then there's like, okay, he's doing a Danny McBride thing. Okay. Oh, this is how when he switches the name, like, this is how it starts. Cool. I was in it the whole way. And like Jessica, I was sad and I was angry and I was ashamed, Dan. Ashamed, because typically, to pull back the curtain on this show, someone has ridiculous opinion. There's going to be one person who backs up their ridiculous opinion because we yes and.
I don't. No.
Hold on.
You're not flying in and explaining the show to people. Okay. You can have your Righteous Gemstones opinions without showing people the entirety of the show.
Is that my Gemstones opinion that is righteous, or is it a Righteous Gemstones opinion?
I didn't watch the show because there was no dissenting opinion yesterday. So, like, I got home and I was like, I guess just universally everyone thought this episode sucked. So I didn't watch it. I'm like, I'm going to watch the season. I'm going to watch it eventually. But, like, when I got home and I had free time, I was like, am I going to dedicate 39 minutes to this that everyone was saying how bad it was? Like, why would I do that? No one loved it. And then I come in and I'm like, hold on a second.
It was amazing.
That is not the opinion at all.
I heard you guys say like you liked the episode, but not for the premiere of the season. When would you rather have it in the middle of the season?
Do not put Mike Ryan's words on me. I do not want those words on me. This is a show that I like a lot and admire that it's as ambitious as it is, and that in their 4th season they would do that kind of zig when everyone's in on, we'll eat up whatever you're giving us, because we believe that this is the best of what Max has to offer. This is the best of what creativity has to offer.
You accused Danny McBride of just wanting to spend HBO's money.
I accused Danny McBride in the streaming age of making a statement by going well afield of what it is that they normally do, taking out all of the characters that you've grown to love and starting the 4th season with the surprise of Bradley Cooper in what I'm assuming will be a season that has a whole bunch of cameos from people who do actually appreciate the Gemstones.
The statement is, I make a really good show. That's the statement he made. Not like, oh, okay, how can I let HBO and the world know that in a streaming age, I'm going to zag? No, he's not doing that. They're telling a story and they're telling it beautifully, especially knowing that this is the last season. It's not like they can get to this in season 6. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. So he's going to empty the chamber.
We'll get BJ pole dancing eventually.
Yes.
Apparently he did all his own pole dancing stunts in this season. Wow. And trust me, when I turned on HBO Max on Sunday night, Max, as the kids call it these days, I wanted to see that pole dancing. Yeah. And I realized instead I was going to get Bradley Cooper in a period drama that I was not expecting. Yeah. And you know what? It was excellent. It was great. They nailed it.
Instead of castigating Dan Le Batard, why don't you get Tim Baltz, who plays BJ, huge sports fan from Chicago, get him on the show as a guest.
That would be fine.
Yeah, why don't you do that instead of castigating?
Look, I don't want a Gemstones episode that doesn't have any of the characters in it. It's okay.
But it sets it up with the characters, it sounds like. They've done flashbacks a bunch of times on this show.
They have.
Have you seen it or not?
No, I haven't. You guys ruined it for me. I came in and I was like, this show is bad. Everybody thought it was bad. Why am I going to watch it?
So we're 10 minutes in, and you guys, this one television take is why it is that we had the worst show in show history.
We wanted to start
yesterday.
off easy. We wanted to start off with a little warm-up routine here.
Like the hot towel on first class, right? This isn't the meal yet. Let's get to the meat and potatoes here, Dan. I was so ashamed yesterday. You were so reckless that you're Dan Le Batard. You have a platform that echoes across not only this nation, but internationally. We talked about this the other day. You're an international icon, right? And for you to sit here and use that platform so flippantly to baselessly just completely dismiss that Ray Romano impression, I was flabbergasted. That guy nailed it. And you're sitting here killing the callers and killing the fans and the listeners who are trying to help contribute. And I was getting ready, like Billy getting ready, oh, my God, this Gemstones episode must be terrible. I was getting ready, oh, man, Dan said these calls are terrible. And I said, whoa, let me buckle up for how lame these calls are. And then I hear that Ray Romano, I'm like, Ma. And you thought that was lazy and bad and not funny and all that? Hit me again.
He's not looking at you.
Ma. That's why I said hit me again.
I was looking for Miranda.
Miranda was good too. But that wasn't yesterday. Yesterday was Ray Romano. Ma. Dan. I'm going to ask this. This is the first time I've ever asked you this question.
The creative community around our show used to be something that was so competitive that would have been a 68 seed in a tournament because it's not quite good enough.
Get out of here.
Not quite good enough.
I agree with, like, in general, your point is not, like, wrong, but the last few weeks they've turned it up. Is all we're saying. Like, you're hitting them like they're still down. They're trying.
305-486. That's a very hard opinion for you to come by there, Billy.
I'm just saying, maybe
very unpopular.
I just say maybe it's, Ray Romano was liked and you didn't like Everybody Loves Raymond, and there's a bias here, an inherent bias against our audience, and now you're taking it out on poor old Ray Romano.
Do you also have something against Al Michaels and Kermit the Frog? Maybe it's the voice. He doesn't like this high-pitched voice. Maybe it's
305-486-GOTS if you want to do better than the callers have been doing recently.
Miranda?
Hey,
Is that bad too? Come on.
I had a crush on Kermit the Frog when I was little.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Miss Piggy won't appreciate that, so, but yay!
You had dreams of little tadpoles?
Oh, cute.
Billy, you got in with really like you were interested, and then you lost all interest.
No,
Is there
I'm
any
not.
pro-
What are you
well, but I
talking
mean,
about?
did you
Amin
not?
has a great Kermit.
I try. Sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes. Miss Piggy says that it's because, well, let's just keep it PG, shall we?
What other bad takes did we have yesterday?
Okay, so all right. Clearly, I was building up to this point. Dan, you can speculate how, it's a wonder that PEDs aren't more prevalent in basketball the way we know it is in football and baseball. What you cannot do, unequivocally, is put someone's name on it who does not have any history of it. I get what you're saying, but Dan, you got to remember, you're not Fran Le Batard or Dan Leibowitz. You're Dan Le Batard. There's a 20 under that. This show has been on the air for 20 years. You've been in the media for longer than that. When you even ask questions of that variety, you are creating something / giving voice or gas to something no matter how unfounded it is. So you cannot say, well, Shel Sonnen said it. If Shel had just said it, if it had just come out, he was this week's guest on Andrew Schultz's show, then maybe that's an opening.
A newsworthy lane? You're talking about timeliness? It's a timeliness question where I can ask questions in. We're gonna agree on this part, right? We're living in the skeptical age, right? The age of skepticism. And so if I just make it hypothetical athlete X, I don't even make it LeBron and everything you know. I simply say to you, what do you think is more likely? That an athlete would try and defy age through science at the end of his career, or that one athlete had a career that defied the limits of the human body, unlike any we've ever seen in terms of mileage and how his body holds up for 20 straight years. I'm assuming did Kareem have more minutes? I'm assuming LeBron James has played more minutes than anyone else. Which do you think is more likely?
I think if you put it as a if you frame it exactly as you framed it there are people who could say, we know who you're hinting at. But I think you stay on this, albeit very close to that line, on this side of the line of, okay, you can have that conversation.
But if I preface it, though, if I'm prefacing it with all that you know about me and my admiration for LeBron, combined with, hey, I'm not accusing anyone of anyone here. I'm trying to have the macro conversation around America's giant, biggest athlete for the last 2 decades, using him as a vehicle, as we talk about Mo Vaughn over here and Ekblad over there. Right. Using him as, you've got this unprecedented thing. Can you guys explain to me, America, why this is the line too far on your skepticisms?
So
when I'm not accusing him of anything. Dan, I'm just wondering why this is the place that you get this offended.
I'm offended because you said it, Dan. Because and as you say, my admiration for LeBron, you think it absolves you. What it does is it puts more credence in what you're just throwing out as a question. But for people to say, well, Dan Le Batard always says nice things about LeBron and how he's coming to take everybody's stuff, and now he's asking whether he's doing PEDs. Dan, no, I'm just telling you how it received. You're not. I know you're not sending it out that way, but the message is being received that way because of who you are. It would be like, Dan. It would be like if I all of a sudden started talking about J. Cole having ghostwriters. But Amin loves J. Cole. He's just asking a question. How can this guy keep being creative and writing like this without ghostwriters, right? If I said that, given who I am to that person, then it allows people to say, wait a second, I thought this was just a barbershop conversation, but this guy who has all the credibility is bringing it and giving it credence. And so when you say America and skepticism and where's our skepticism and all that, yes, it's right to be skeptical about things, but also we live in an age where cockamamie statements have been given credence by people we deem credible, right? It's cockamamie, but this guy's talking about it, so it must be true. Some people might say the 45th president of the United States would not be president if it weren't for credible news organizations during the Republican primaries when it was just a clown show, giving attention to it, as opposed to letting it be a clown show over there and we talk about the real candidates. And what was most likely a farce, a guy just doing it for publicity, would not have risen to the highest office in power. That's the problem, right? And the craziest thing about it, you want to know what a good take was yesterday? Mike Ryan, of all people, said it. He said, you know who's the happiest person right now? Aaron Ekblad. There is an athlete, a white athlete, I might add, who has been ruled, right, a champion using PEDs. If this had happened to Jason Tatum, is Ekblad good? Give me.
Yeah,
He's
good.
above average.
He's good.
Okay, so like Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis,
Drew Holiday.
If it came out that Drew Holiday was on PEDs, you know how many asterisks we would have threw on the table on the Celtics championship?
No, Tatum. Tatum would have. If you do it with Tatum, the others there wouldn't be asterisks.
There would.
Jaylen Brown, there would be.
There would, because this is something that is like, it's one thing to be caught juicing. It's another thing to get caught juicing and you're the defending champs, right? This guy should have been the center of the conversation, particularly in your local hour, where we're supposed to talk about local athletes and local sports.
Let me bring
but
something up here.
Start talking about some other guy.
Let me bring something up here, because if I were to do things the way that you're alleging that I'm doing them by coming this close to the line on wherever it is
you crossed it, you didn't come close.
Okay, so wherever it is that my credibility resides, what remains of it, the idea that we are talking about 20 years in the oldest player in the league, still dominating the headlines when he's out. We talk about him and how Luka's going to do with him out. It's just crazy that at this age he's doing these things, and because Tom Brady has normalized it. I'm trying to have a conversation with you about skepticism with him as the avatar, the way he is for fatherhood, when all of a sudden him and Stephen A are arguing, or wherever it is that in the modern age you give relevance to and power and currency to these people. We're witnessing something that has no precedent for the human body. And I'm not even questioning it.
But
I'm asking why there aren't questions about it.
That's the same thing, Dan.
That's the same.
Dan,
Like, you're bringing
Dan,
it up and saying
that's the problem.
Like, asking questions about why we're not asking questions is the same thing as asking questions in the ear of the listener. You might not have that intention, but by bringing it up and saying, hey, that's pretty suspicious, we've never seen anything quite like that, why aren't you guys asking questions about it? Why aren't you skeptical? Makes me go, oh, should I be skeptical? I guess I should be skeptical.
If I were doing this the way that Amin is accusing me of doing it, I would just look at the camera and get the clicks of making the accusation in some framed way that would be smart. I'm not doing that. I'm simply presenting you with an unprecedented athlete doing unprecedented things at the end of his career and asking why it is that everyone who is watching this would say to me, if after the fact it actually happened, well, yeah, of course.
Dan,
well, yeah, of course.
Dan.
Like that makes sense that body would work more than any human body ever. And it had some help.
Dan,
and
Dan,
that seems like a legitimate question to me.
You just accused me of accusing you. I'm not accusing you. I understand your intellectual curiosity about it. I'm telling you that there is, in the same way that when we talked about the Britney Spears documentary 3 or 4 years ago or whatever, whenever it came out on Hulu, and there was a scene where she's being mobbed because she went to Starbucks. And everyone's like, oh, my God, it must be so awful for her. And I'm like, no, yeah, you're Britney Spears. You don't get to go to Starbucks anymore at that point of her career. You don't get to do that anymore. Stephen A. Smith talks about, I can't go to the movies anymore. He hasn't been to movies in so long. Why? Because he said, if I walk into a movie theater, it distorts the reality of what this experience should be. The experience should be, I'm ready to watch Captain America, whatever. And instead, the experience goes, Stephen A. Smith is here. Hey, man, do you think the Lakers are going to do it? So I don't know if this is ignorance or humility. Dan, you are not in a place where you get to innocently ask that question, even as I know you innocently asked it. Because it comes out innocent here, and by the time it goes into that little camera right there and into that microphone, comes out into the ears and the eyes of people, it loses its innocence completely. And it becomes a prompt to question LeBron James's whatever he's doing, right? And that question, why'd you think that? It's a difference between when Chael Sonnen, noted dumbass, says it.
Alleged dumbass.
Alleged dumbass. And when Dan Le Batard, Dan always says good things about LeBron.
Well,
Wait,
no,
why would he bring that up?
No, he didn't side with him on Cookiegate either. So
Oh,
now we're
oh
back
my
to
God.
back. Now we're
And
back
now
to back on these, and now it's like, maybe,
Now we got a problem.
maybe there's motive. Some are saying, he went out there and he took shots at the Heat. He accused them of stealing his cookies, and now all of a sudden he's on steroids.
Having said all of this, all of you would bet yes. Everyone would bet yes.
Bet yes on
I'm
what?
confused.
Whether he's done it or
Hold on a
not.
second.
But we're on a major podcast on a major network. Accusing someone of doing something that there is no...
Not accused.
He didn't accuse.
Okay,
He asked
asking why we aren't accusing someone of
he
doing
asked why we
something
didn't accuse.
is... I don't think it's our place to do that.
I'm confused.
Unless there is a legitimate conversation about it stemming from someone with legitimate eyewitness accounts or whatever investigative story there is.
Hold on a second. Does J. Cole write his own songs or not? I think that's really what's been lost on this. Because you go to Dreamville Fest and you have this relationship with J. Cole, and here you are saying he has ghostwriters. Is that so, or is that not
He must
so?
have ghostwriters.
I must, right? That seems like it would be the natural progression. But I think, Dan, the thing about it all is...
Okay, so he does.
He must. I mean, clearly.
'cause
I never thought about it before right now,
dodged
but
it.
If this is
you
a
brought
lie
it up.
detector, I'm not a yes or
Yeah, I
no.
brought it up.
You brought it up.
is how this is
I
coming
believe it
back.
now.
I hadn't
Evasive.
brought it
J.
up.
Cole has ghostwriters.
It seems
J.
that way.
Cole took a bigger hit, I think, right there because of his friendship with J. Cole than LeBron did in whatever it is that we're talking
That kind of
about.
proves his point, though.
There's nothing wrong
just
with
bringing it
ghostwriters.
up.
That was the point.
Britney Spears, great artist.
Chris, when you ask if you have to bet or whatever, here's the reality. There are things that I want to be first at being right at or early on being right at. And then there are things that I'm perfectly fine.
This is not one of them.
I'm perfectly fine being wrong if it turns out.
Right, because
Years
we're
from now.
jerks. If we're wrong, we're jerks. That's fair.
But this one will never, we can agree. This one will never turn out.
Because he's more protected than the president. You
Well,
heard Tony yesterday.
Well,
this
I
one,
mean-
this one,
Amin has proven that today. Amin has gone after me harder than he went after Trump or Musk. Amin has proven that today.
I put it on the sheet, man.
Well, he believes he can make a difference in this case.
Yeah,
In
no,
the
I-
other cases, he knows
Also,
he can't.
I don't have credibility when it comes to talking about the president or talking about an oligarch, right? I have credibility when it comes to talking about our sport and especially about how people talk about our sport. And when you hear Rich Paul, going on, McAfee or whatever, and saying kind of the things he's saying, I see it as, this is the reaction. They are defending this thing that they feel like they are under attack from, right? And so you are basically rolling a grenade into the middle of the aisle and say, but I didn't pull the pin. It's just a grenade. But you're arming people with the tools to begin an assault.
The thing, though, and so you're holding me responsible. I understand. You did it all the way to the primaries. You're holding me responsible for if the question gets poisoned once it's out of my hands, you're giving me a giant media responsibility.
Because
there.
you put the question out there.
I did put the question out there, but I'm about to explain to you, in the content age, I'm about to explain to you the whys of it. I'm super interested in the reaction. I'm super interested in the macro conversation, and the athlete is I can change it by the decade. It doesn't matter whether it's LeBron. I remember the way people behaved when we turned Maguire and Sosa into the people that we turned them into. And then over the last 20 years, everyone from Lance Armstrong to Barry Bonds to everyone else has been some form of a lie. And so this guy who has managed over 20 years to be a pillar that I've never seen in my journalism career, not just an international icon that has done almost everything the right way, also has as scientific fact behind him the fact that his body has held up better than any human body has ever under these conditions. And so I ask of America, not LeBron, why don't you ask why? Like, what happened over the last 20 years on this stuff where we just weren't curious about that and Tom Brady and all the stuff that allows these people to age 10 years beyond previous facts?
Dan, you talked about Maguire and Sosa yesterday and how they had the andro in the locker, and that reporters were doing interviews at the lockers and we could see the andro in the background. I think that there's and then you root, how could we not know? I think there's a massive difference between those examples where they're literally like, hey, this is the thing I take, it's right here, versus you're just looking at it like, that doesn't look right, right? Look, I could play this game for a lot of athletes. You do really believe Michael Jordan got beat by the Pistons and then said, all I have to do is lift weights, and then all of a sudden, he's indestructible.
Whoa,
and
that's
awesome?
Wait a minute. Are you asking that question publicly?
I'm not. I'm
Be
countering.
careful.
I'm countering your reckless. By the way, this is the most offensive part. We have a button right here. Where is it? That says,
Put it on the poll. Did Michael Jordan take PEDs?
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and
Don't
get
put that on the
reckless. Here is
Seems
something we
litigious.
like to call reckless speculation.
you can't even blame Chris for not putting. You have the button in front of you at any time. You could have hit that button, and then it still would have been reckless. But at least given the acknowledgement, hey guys, we're gonna play a little bit outside of the sandbox today. Nobody called for it. Nobody. You guys just went along with it. That's the part that was disappointing, Dan, is that there was nobody who was like, whoa, what do we do? Hit that button if you're going to say that. If Stugotz had done that, if Stugotz was the one who asked the question, why isn't anyone asking the question, we would have roasted him. We would have put him up. We would have hung him up in effigy. We would have sent him, or even worse, we would have sent him to the penalty box, right? We had this conversation, or y'all had this conversation, and not once did anyone point out, yo, at least play the sounder if we're going to do this.
I think on the opposite end, and it was another argument that we had yesterday, and it's kind of tied in here, was when we were talking about Laremy Tunsil, and the whole argument was basically like, well, no one really cares that he, smoked weed now in 2025, right? And like, that's kind of where we are in sports. Like, no one really cares if people test positive for PEDs and get suspended anymore.
No, they care because the guy got suspended.
Yeah, but no
Aaron
one
Eckblad.
cares about it.
Well, I'm sure Panthers fans care about it.
I mean, but
No?
there's not the outrage. Like,
Not
there's not
outrage.
the outrage like when Manny Ramirez got suspended or when, like, any of the bigger names in baseball got suspended. Like, we're now 10 years removed from the shock value of, oh, the people that we really like use steroids and they're cheating and there's this purity in the sport. Now there's just kind of an assumption like, maybe there's something going on there, but, like, I don't care because, like, it's a sport I like. So, like, LeBron, even if something was going on there, is not going to get suspended for anything.
It would be the biggest scandal in the history of the sport.
It would be if it came out, which
Yeah.
the NBA is not incentivized for it to
Sure.
ever come out.
Sure.
And that's why people don't really care to look into it because they're just like, maybe everyone's doing it. Because there wasn't that, like, naivete that there was at the time of LeBron, of Mark McGuire. It's like, whoa,
I think
the best player's cheating? How's that possible?
I think, sure, like, there's a purity and an innocence that was had in 1998 that doesn't exist anymore, but still, it is still shocking nonetheless. If that happens, I don't think it's so he did it. Like,
but only if it's him.
Sure,
Right?
exactly.
Like if Tyler Hero gets suspended for
Bobby Portis.
PEDs, we'd be like,
Bobby Portis got suspended, and we're like, basically, you're right. Aaron Eckblad, apparently we were the Stanley
For
Cup
Tyler,
champ.
it'd be like, why isn't he taking more? He's still kind of skinny.
Well, also, Tyler's not a defending champion, and somehow we just avoided talking about that for some reason. I wonder why that is, right? So then it was maybe because you're banging a drum?
Accusing us of bias?
Journalism's dead.
You banged a drum?
They did give you a jersey.
You guys all on Roy. Roy, how did you not know? You went to their building and you banged the drum. Did you ask any questions or did you just have tequila?
Did you have locker room access? All of a sudden, they liquor you up. They give you that jersey. They say, here's a drum banging practice. Here's some 4 VIP tickets. The rest of people have to pay. That's another thing. We have to get into that again.
Journalism die.
Right there.
Do you guys have any other bad takes from yesterday?
Yeah, you know
so
what,
many.
Dan? You were the only one who was right on one of these takes, which is Laremy Tunsil. We just brought it up.
What?
No. Everyone was losing their minds and pearl clutching over the idea of weed like 10 years later. Like, oh my God, a guy smoked weed. And oh my God, he has to fall down the draft. Greg said that still, this is 2025. He was like, well, you should, when you see that, you should be questioning a guy's mental health. It was like one of the wildest 2012 conversations about this type of thing that we've ever had. And Dan was the only one steadfast in, that was a pretty wild thing when you have a guy that talented that he would drop down the draft just because he was smoking a little weed.
Let me go first to the Greg corner. I know what Greg's doing there. Greg was playing 2025 language bingo. So it's like mental health. That's what because you guys blame everything on mental health. Anything.
What do you mean, you people?
You people, your generation, with your TikToks and your algorithms, and your mental health is this and mental health is that, right? So we're not gonna jump on Greg for that one. There's something else that Greg messed up on yesterday. We'll get that out on the list.
I'm a little confused by the strategy today. We came in saying yesterday was the worst show we've ever done, so we're relitigating all of the takes from yesterday again.
We're doing it right.
We're fixing
Billy,
it.
we're doing it right. We're fixing wrongs. We're righting wrongs. That's what we're doing.
I'm kind of looking forward to tomorrow's show where we talk about what we talked about today.
No,
Mike comes back and he's like, that Gemstones episode sucked and you're wrong.
No. All right, so the Laremy Tunsil thing. Again, oh my God, Mike Ryan had 2 good points yesterday. We can sit here and
Can you just text Mike Ryan and tell him what his
know
good points
because
are?
he had so many awful ones, but somehow 2 gems came out, and this is how I know it was accidental. He never went back to them in the middle of that conversation. He just was just talking.
So you're accusing him of accidentally making good points?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm accusing.
You're also reviewing the show like a restaurant critic or like a film critic. Are you taking notes on?
This would be a pan.
Yes, that part seems obvious.
Dan, if you know what it feels like when I'm in a room with my kids and I say, okay, don't mess anything up. Don't touch anything. Got it, Dad. Turn around, walk out, walk back in. The rooms, I'm like, what happened? I was only gone for a couple of days, and this is what you guys did? And so when I say I could do this every week, but I don't because it's not that interesting.
Oh, I'm here though. No, I would be here for about 10 minutes of Amin show ombudsman just tells us all the things we got terribly wrong.
We're 23 minutes past the 10, though.
Okay, we already have someone who does a very good job of it. His name is Juju Gotti. Catch him in the post-game show. But when I say that yesterday was one of the all-time worst episodes from the things that were said, now it might have done well ratings-wise, it might have been entertaining, but like the things that were said. So the Laremy Tunsil thing, I'll tell you what was wrong, Jeremy, and how Mike Ryan, of all people, had the right take. It's not about our sensibilities towards marijuana.
You've hit him with 2 of all people.
Because I'm staggered.
Tread lightly. I mean, you're not going to be on the show for a year.
You have hit him with Mike Ryan, of all people, twice in the last 10 minutes.
But we can sit here and talk about the sensibilities towards marijuana. But the reality is, Josh Gordon was one of the best players at his position in NFL, and his career was destroyed. And as Stephen A. Smith said, stay off the weed. Remember that? It wasn't about whether marijuana is good or bad. I believe by 2016, 2017, we all had figured out, okay, this is a big much ado about nothing in terms of the impact of this product on people. It's actually less detrimental than alcohol. Dan, when I was a scout and we would find out, we would do the intel reports on guys, we were more worried about the alcoholics because of what it does to your body. With the marijuana smokers, we were just worried about, are you smart enough to not get caught? Because the testing is not that rigorous if you know what to look for. And so when you see Laremy Tunsil with the damn thing, the gas mask on, the question isn't, oh my God, he smokes weed. It's, this dumbass is going to get caught and suspended. And so when you're talking about spending a top 10 draft pick in a sport where they really, really value their draft picks. Really. It's not like the NBA was like, we'll do it again next year. You cannot risk it because if you take him that high and then this dumbass gets suspended because he couldn't stay off the weed.
They still took him at 13.
Of course, because there's a risk reward at every stage.
Okay.
Like the lower the risk, the more like I'm
But
willing to do it.
what is your objection? My contention that leadership risks unpopularity. What is your contention?
So that was all to lead me to that point right there. Dan Le Batard, you want leadership to risk unpopularity. I don't remember.
It must. It must.
It must. Yes, it must. I don't remember you sticking up for Nico Harrison when he risked all the unpopularity. I don't remember your staunch defense of him saying, hey, guys, maybe he knows something that we don't know. Hey, guys, maybe Luka is a lot worse behind the scenes than we're realizing.
That is an interesting one because of how rare it is that you get just a universal consensus that you can't find a dissenting voice on any sports argument. There was nobody doing that, not just me.
But he did do the thing that you asked leadership to do. He risked unpopularity to make a decision.
Risk it better.
Touche.
Get more draft picks.
When will this old couple die?
Let's play another clip from Billy Gill and Chris Cody doing Marlins spring training baseball on the radio.
We should get through the Trevor Rogers stuff early, though, because he's probably only going to go 4, right?
Well, last time he went 4. It would be really good if he went maybe 5.
That damn Jordan Walker wasn't fouling off so many pitches, you know?
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. There's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit for Nolan Gorman leading off the top of the second inning.
I thought I was coming in hot last inning. Billy really just taking the mantle.
Yeah.
All right, so the issue here is Kyle is very rarely around cursing. So I think damn is safe. Billy called some player this damn guy, and you should have seen Kyle was just like trying to do the call. I think we need to dump this back in the studio. Like Kyle was freaking out. I don't think it's a curse word. I think they were safe, but it was just funny to see the fear on Kyle and Billy, because you know Billy, he's a rebel rouser, but he doesn't actually want to offend any. So when he thought, oh my God, I just cursed and they had to dump something, the look on Billy's face was the best part of that.
Imagine if he said stovetop pudding.
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. There's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit.
That wasn't all Billy did to bring it to a dark place. You got to play this clip. It's a little bit longer, but it's chef's kiss here from Billy.
I have a morbid question for you, Kyle.
Oh, fire away. Now we're talking.
Okay, so you see this man that's walking here. He's walking in with a Cardinals jersey that says "Together." Older gentleman.
Yep, he's got the cream-colored jersey on.
Yeah, so he has a jersey that says "Together." And then presumably, oh yeah, there you go. The person
they've been together since
and
19.
Then and we don't see the second number. Right.
Oh, that's adorable.
Well, yes. Heaven forbid though, one of them passes.
Oh wow.
Do you retire the jersey?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think the question is, do you put it in like a case? Do you frame it? First pitch of Joey Wendell's a called strike.
Maybe you buried it with the person, right?
Boy, we have taken a dark turn. You're right. Yikes. Maybe the 0-1. Swing and a miss. You can go ask him. That'd be wild.
I mean, he's kind of close. We could just shout down. No, let's not.
No, let's not. You erred on the side of caution there. That's good.
1968. Together since 1968.
Oh, they have a long way to go.
Do they?
0-2, swing and a miss. They've been together 55 years, those two lovebirds.
That's beautiful.
You don't care.
Solid math. What do you mean I don't care? Kyle. I love love. Kyle, did we pull the calculator out on the computer? Or was
Not
that
my phone. It was on my phone.
He must hate you guys so much. Like it's unbelievable that's
the 2-2.
That's always funny. The 0-1. No matter.
Have you been served?
Welcome, everybody, to the David Samson Show. It happens every Thursday, for the most part, here on the local hour. David is the host of Nothing Personal, and you can follow him on Twitter, at David P. Samson. We begin in the obvious place. Dan, have you been subpoenaed?
I have not.
Ooh, you're named in the lawsuit. That's an upset. That's my new game show. Have you been subpoenaed?
Wow.
Dave, have you been subpoenaed?
Yes.
In the Sage Steele lawsuit?
Oh, no, not in that one. I thought you just meant in general, like a Tuesday.
We knew that. I mean,
I have never been subpoenaed in any way, and I do not have any history with subpoenas.
Have you ever been served?
No.
Oh, I had such a funny thing on Nothing Personal today about Jason Sudeikis serving Olivia Wilde in the middle of her being on stage.
The reports are that he didn't do that.
Hey, what's up, Le Batard fans? I'm Roz Goldon-Woode, and this week on Good Follow, so much is going on. March Madness and Selection Sunday are here. The unrivaled playoffs are here. We're breaking down the NWSL Challenge Cup. We're talking about Caitlin Clark. She was looking yoked. She's getting strong in the off season, and we're breaking down Angel Reese's comments on the WNBA's CBA negotiations coming up. We also have an exclusive sit-down interview with WNBA champion, two-time, that is, Jordan Canada, who joins us not only to talk hoops, but also about her musical career as a singer. Catch Good Follow. We drop every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on DraftKings Network, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. So come kick it with me and my girl Logan.
Do you know how bad the takes had to be yesterday for us to be an hour into reviewing how bad the takes were, and no one's even mentioned Chris Cody saying he'd rather have Zack Wilson than Russell Wilson?
What a sad conversation this Zack Wilson conversation is. It's so sad. Like everyone coming at me on Twitter. Oh, I'd rather have Minshew. I'd rather have Jameis. Like, it's just the names that are getting thrown at me.
Chris, it's an insane hill to die on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he's great. No. I'm saying show me a quarterback with more upside than Zack Wilson.
But you're saying he has upside because of how terrible he's been, so you just assume he can't get any worse.
No, it's because of where he was drafted.
Also, he's your backup.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
No. But you can't do that with the Dolphins. You can't say, but he's your backup, because that's what we did last year.
Guys,
well, not me. Last year, I was like, they should sign a better backup because they
shouldn't have let Mike White go.
If that's what we're doing
but
here,
he had to make
we
the
want
White
Mike
Lotus.
White over Zack Wilson.
We needed season 3 of White Lotus.
Oh, you took my
That
joke.
is the thing. Like, the names that are being thrown back at me are so sad.
Well, that's because that's the class that Zack Wilson is in,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
exactly. But my point is, he's in that class, and he's probably the youngest guy with the biggest arm. Like, you can't make the argument for any of these other people over having more upside than Zack Wilson. Gardner Minshew.
So no one's going to change their opinion.
But the argument was Russell Wilson or Zack Wilson, was it not?
Yeah,
and you said Zack.
And if you say the next 5 years, who can be better? I don't think.
But they're signing him to a
5
one-year
years.
deal.
It's a one-year deal.
I love it. This year. Okay, well, do it this year.
Russell Wilson's going to be better this year.
Okay, and I don't think you can say that for sure.
For sure.
Like in Mike McDaniel's offense, I think Zack Wilson could be just as good as Russell Wilson in this offense.
No, because Russell Wilson would come to this offense, and then he'd be a higher version of that too.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I saw Russell Wilson last year, and he wasn't good.
In Mike McDaniel's offense?
No, in a worse offense.
Okay, that's my point. If you're
And
going
he
to
was
say,
actually
if you're
not
gonna
that
say
bad
he got
for
benched.
being in a worse offense.
If you're going to say
didn't.
that Mike McDaniel is going to sprinkle
he
pixie
wasn't.
dust, if you're saying he's going to sprinkle pixie dust, and
That
Zack
offense was
Wilson,
so bad.
If you're saying I'm going to do it a third time.
That offense had no wide
I'm going to do it a fourth
receivers
time.
either.
If you're saying he's going to sprinkle pixie dust, and Zack Wilson's magically going to get better, potentially, then the same pixie dust would apply to Russell Wilson as well.
The Russell Wilson Steelers conversation is an interesting one that I feel like we've already had several times, but I don't think he is the only reason to blame for the Steelers imploding at the end of the season. And I do think that in a better world where there's not animosity perceived on my part between him and Arthur Smith, it makes sense for them to just re-sign him for a year because they're not going to get anything better. That being said, Zack Wilson wouldn't be better either.
I'm not saying Zack Wilson's good. I'm saying of all these names that I have in front of me, I get saying, if I'm Mike McDaniel, I get saying, I'm looking at all these people. I could do something with that. That's all I'm saying. It's not a terrible deal. Everyone's just like, oh, they shouldn't have signed Zack Wilson. They should have signed blank. All those names, sad. Every single one of them.
So is he.
Okay, but I would argue, like,
Less
he's
sad?
in that group. He's equal to all those people, is all I'm saying.
All right, enough. Less sad than the other sadness.
David, would you rather be listening to this conversation or waiting on hold and we just are late to a segment start?
Samson's furious right now. He has been seething. He has been a volcano of fury. Just take me through your rage right now as you've had to listen for the second time to a Zack Wilson conversation.
Well, that's coming after listening to an entire 37 minutes relitigating stuff from yesterday. So I was just trying to decide at what point we'd be willing to go to today's show. It's totally up to you. You're the leader of this intrepid team. So let me know.
What else did we get wrong yesterday? What else?
Oh, man. I mean, Chris is so obviously not the type of guy who goes to a Ren Fair normally. He's a chili cook-off guy. He told you it's obvious. Look at his face. That's a chili cook-off guy, not a Ren Fair guy. What are you guys doing
I was
with that
thinking
take?
about this yesterday. Renfest is like theater kids.
Yeah.
People that love to dress up.
I should be at Ren
Jeremy's at
Fair.
the Ren Fair.
Chris should be at the chili cook-off. This is obvious.
What a
And I can't
stain.
believe that this show had the gumption to get a takeoff that was that bad. I was really disappointed. Shame, honestly.
Dan's head was on the table. He's totally checked out, and he heard gumption, and it was like Marty McFly at the Enchantment Under the Sea.
Dan, does your microphone actually work? Like, are we having technical
What else
issues?
did we get wrong yesterday?
What else did we get wrong? We covered a lot of them.
Tried to convince people Aaron Rodgers was good.
Aaron Rodgers.
That was an interesting one.
I don't know what's that about.
was so annoying.
It was pretty crazy.
Trying to convince people Jameis Winston's bad.
Oh, that too. Jameis Winston would be
You
a
said
better
he'd be
name.
buttoned up.
A less
Honestly,
sad name.
you guys
So sad.
Did you see
attacking
his work on
Billy on
Fox?
that was some of the best work yesterday.
What?
Jameis Winston.
Did you see him on Fox?
First of all, Jameis Winston, yes, he threw 30 interceptions. You know what he had after that 30 interception season? LASIK. And he's never thrown 30 again.
Thank you.
It'd be funny if we signed Jameis.
No, not we, the Steelers.
He couldn't see. Like, the whole point of the thing was he didn't know what he was throwing at. Like, was that a red jersey?
Oh, and now
Was that a white
he's
jersey?
amazing. He didn't throw any interceptions when he was playing for the Browns
Not
this year.
30.
Well, not 30.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
he also didn't start the
Someone
season.
stole that take from me
He also
later in
didn't
the
finish
day.
the
The
season.
LASIK take?
The could you imagine Jameis Winston on the Steelers? Someone stole that from me. A major
Who?
player.
Who stole it?
DraftKings took it and they put it on their account.
Oh,
Well,
God.
could you imagine Jameis Winston? Yeah.
Samson, what are you shaking your head about? What's the matter? You just want to get to today's show? You want to get to things today, and I can't get control of the show? Is that the problem?
I'm just watching time move inextricably on past what I expected it to be. I'm very interested in Jameis Winston and LASIK. That's tremendous. That's tremendous Charlie Sheen type major league insight. That he couldn't see, and now all of a sudden he can see. Therefore, the Jets have made a good signing.
Look at all the pictures of him pre-LASIK. He's always squinting. And then all of a sudden, not squinting.
Do you know how many times, we would say to players when they were in a slump and we'd do the Charlie Sheen thing, we'd say, hey, listen, can we by chance check your eyesight? So we would do it during preseason physicals. We'd have them all do the eye chart and do all the stuff. But anytime we had scouted someone or signed someone that we thought would be better, and when they weren't performing, it didn't occur to us that we were bad at evaluating. It occurred to us that maybe they needed glasses. It's so asinine to try to cover up your lack of ability to choose good players with some sort of physical issue regarding eyesight.
No stone unturned.
Just so that you guys know, I'm not in a position to make this particular correction, given that yesterday I confused Chan-Ho Park and Hideo Nomo, but I think that David Samson just confused Winston and Justin Fields, and you need to pay a fine for that because Jameis is not with the New York Jets, and that's not a mistake that you can make.
I will pay the Venmo fine. I did on this morning's Nothing Personal. I did a bit of a quarterback was going to be in the show, Daniel Jones going to the Vikings, and I couldn't get to the topic because we only had 50 minutes to do the whole show, so I couldn't get to it. And so I now have an entire day to worry about how I'm going to deal with all of the quarterback carousel tomorrow.
David, yesterday we got the sad news that Junior Bridgeman passed away. Junior Bridgeman, your Wisconsin roots. I'm sure you're familiar with Junior Bridgeman. Dan was the guy that was in the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade, but he was made more famous by everything he did after his playing career, which was he invested in franchises, and he became one of the great business success stories that the NBA and the NBPA would bring around the players. Say, look, this is what you do with your money. Like, so that
remembered as an entrepreneur even more than a basketball player.
He was a billionaire, and the most he ever made in any NBA season, I believe, was like $365,000. And so, David, I was wondering, who is the Junior Bridgeman of baseball that you would introduce players who would talk about, like, this is what you do with your money off the field?
So not Pudge, but I was going to do, and I did something for on this morning's show when I did a obituary for Junior Bridgeman. I tried to come up with a top 5 list on the fly of business leaders, former basketball players, or former athletes. And I have Junior Bridgeman there, and I put Magic Johnson in the top 5. I put Shaquille O'Neal in the top 5.
Right.
I put Jamal Mashburn in the top 5. And I put Junior Bridgeman in the top 5. And then I struggled. I need a 5th NBA player who has had a level of post-career success that is off the charts financially. Who do you got for me?
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan is
That's crazy.
Seems kind of obvious.
So the reason why I didn't have Michael Jordan, and now that I think about it, I guess he has to be, is I believe that a lot of the wealth came from, according to the movie Air, came from a contract that he signed as a player that gave him continuing in perpetuity rights from the Jordan brand of Nike. Not that he should be poo-pooed for such a business deal, but that was not necessarily post-career.
Caron Butler has a lot of stuff, a lot of Burger King franchises, I believe, because when he was a kid, he worked at Burger King, and that was one of the things that kind of saved him when he was recovering kind of from some poor life choices earlier. So Caron's up there. I don't know if he's not at the caliber of those other 5 guys that we just named.
Did he get it from Junior Bridgeman? Because the majority of his wealth was from buying franchises of Wendy's and Chili's.
Yep.
And of course, there's now 10% of the Bucks that he bought last year, and people didn't realize that. He is a major owner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
And also another name is Andre Iguodala, who would be like the 21st century of this in investing in tech. And the biggest example of that was he invested in Zoom before the pandemic. And so when the pandemic took off and everyone started using Zoom, Andre Iguodala was like ching-ching, right, basically.
That's a winner. For me, Dan, there's been so many players. We talk to them about financial prudence, and we try to explain how to save money. And not many players are good at it, and they don't really understand it. And agents don't help because we try to get financial advisors to advise the players, but agents really get in the way of that because they want total control of the players. And so they'll start investment arms, a lot of these agencies, where they'll try to talk about and get another percentage above just the fee for doing the contract for being an investment advisor for the player. And we always advise our players to go in a different direction than that. You do need diversity when it comes to your agents and your money managers. But you're right, Dan. I'd say it's the biggest problem that faces players in their post-career is that no matter how much money they make in their career, they don't realize they'll never make more again. And of course, we just did a top 5 of those who do, but those are the exceptions, not the rule.
Well, I wanted to talk about Shaq for a second, and I wanted to talk more broadly with you and Amin, whether someone like Elon Musk, whether it's even possible to be running that many companies well, given what it actually takes to run a company. So Shaquille O'Neal obviously has a lot of different interests, and Amin is in the tank for Shaq. But Shaq cannot make this particular mistake when being an analyst who is keeping up with the times. Listen to Shaquille O'Neal talking about the Pistons and just having no idea what he's talking about.
It's a great player. I like the way he's playing. I like what Chauncey is doing. Those guys play hard. My favorite player on that team is Isaiah Stewart. Big body, hard guy. Like to knock people out, push people
No, I can't
around.
let this go. Like who? Who's doing it? You said Chauncey?
Chauncey's the coach, right?
Okay.
Portland. No.
Chauncey, he coaches. I was like, I can't let this go.
JB Bickerstaff. Yeah, Bickerstaff. That's what I mean. Hey, you know what? First of all, I don't watch Detroit. How about that, boo-boo? I don't watch them. So,
let that go.
I messed up. I made a mistake.
You put a trail
What you freaking do? I made a mistake.
I mean.
And I asked the question sincerely. How much attention can he be paying attention to everything?
Chauncey Billups, Hideo Nomo, Jameis Winston. That's all the same, right? It's a guy, roughly.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that sort of mistake. I understand he's an analyst on Inside the NBA, making a ton of money to do it, but those types of things happen, so I don't criticize Shaq for that. The correction should have been made. It was made, and I just wouldn't have doubled down by saying I don't watch Detroit. That's not what I want my top analysts to say. I want them to like the whole league. But, Dan, I'm not going to criticize Shaq for that one.
I can't believe Shaq would be that uninformed. Check out us Sunday night. College basketball watch party.
Jesus, Chris, you were so confident grabbing that, and then you just stuttered and stumbled your way through it.
It's just so wild. I mean, the Pistons are one of the best stories in basketball this year, and JB Bickerstaff going from Cleveland to Detroit and doing this with Detroit is like one of maybe the 5 coolest stories in the league. I know Detroit's not like the sexy team to watch, especially the last several years, but that's a pretty basic one that I would think Shaq should know, right? I'm not asking for Inside the NBA to be in-depth analysis. It's entertainment, but
to be fair, that was, first of all, that was why they had the topic, because they're talking about the Pistons, and Shaq's like, I'm not going to watch the Pistons. And Candace and Vince are telling him, no, they're actually really good. You got to watch them. And he's like, I watched them.
And that push and pull is great.
Right. And so he does that. And then my thing was this. I thought he just had a brain fart because he's talking about Detroit and Chauncey Billups. I thought he meant like Chauncey Billups, Detroit or whatever. But then when he doubled down on that second line, isn't he the coach of Detroit? Like, damn.
It's not great.
The other thing that's interesting about Detroit, and Monty Williams changed the entire salary structure for coaches there, got the highest paid job in the history of basketball, and was gone in a year. And everything got fixed as soon as he left. Like, that's nuts. That part of the story is a total insanity because coaching salaries doubled based on what Monty Williams got for 1 year in Detroit.
You know what's funny is when I was thinking about this the other day, and JB Bickerstaff and the year he's having, even though Kenny Atkinson is doing better with the players he had last year, and it made me wonder, I wonder what Mark Jackson would have been like if he had gotten another job somewhere, how he would have been thought of. Because JB Bickerstaff was like, oh, you bum, this team isn't winning. And now it's like, JB Bickerstaff, a pretty good coach, huh?
Samson, though, when it comes to Elon Musk, okay, Tesla is tanking. It's lost like 70% of its value in Germany and Australia. Trump is on the lawn doing a Tesla commercial. Can Elon Musk possibly be running and governing? This while taking, $17 billion in government subsidies for the last 10 years, and his SpaceX stuff is exploding over Turks and Caicos, and his businesses are kind of hurting right now. Is it possible to be in a position that he's in and govern any of those businesses correctly?
Well, you can look at Warren Buffett as someone who runs one major company, Berkshire Hathaway, but then underneath him, what he does is he buys companies that maintain their operators. And so he chooses his investments that way. He doesn't pretend to run all of the companies that he owns. What I assume Elon Musk has is that he has operators for his businesses that are doing the day-to-day. He is involved, obviously, in the major strategic decisions. He will be involved, but not every day, in the operation of Tesla or any of his other investments. I don't know how he'd have the time to do it. So the answer is there's only 24 hours in a day. And it is very difficult to actually be hands-on with all the different things that he is claiming to be hands-on. So my guess is he's far more of a chairman than he is an actual CEO of these companies.
Man, we don't give Stugotz enough flowers, man, for getting that one right years ahead of everybody.
He was. There has been no take that he's gotten more right than that one. 10 years early. I miss that character. I don't know, Billy, where it is that Elon Musk is, but I would love at any point to see him again.
I also miss Billy doing the Elon Musk impressions. Remember that?
Those masks disappeared. I don't know where they ended up.
They ended up with the fine bucket.
I think if you did an Elon Musk impression now, probably wouldn't be able to air it over television.
I mean, Elon Musk.
Yes, you would. We do a lot worse than that. I think that the issue that we're seeing now is just the timing and the way things are happening. The announcement yesterday that everyone in the White House is getting Teslas, it just is such a bad look with all of the slashing they're doing in aid to foreign countries and all of the trade wars, and the stock market is plunging, and all of the things that they're in theory trying to fix. There was really no reason for that sort of PR moment that they took yesterday. I thought the timing was strange for it. It wasn't going to really have such an impact on the stock. It wasn't going to impact Elon's wealth. It was some sort of favor for him, but the timing just didn't seem necessary.
Have you guys ever seen, like, on my TikTok algorithm is weird. So I see like car reviews, and they've got the EVs from China. And when I watch these reviews and watch what these cars can do,
there are better cars being made all over the place.
Buddy,
yes.
keep them tariffs up there because, like, the for $47,000, the type of car you get, it's damn near a spaceship.
No, and they don't explode, and they change the way that they look over 13 years. That's super rare that the body of a car wouldn't change.
Then they got a car that's full electric that also has a gas tank that when you run out of charge, you can pour gas into it, and then it runs on gas, and then the gas engine charges the electric battery all over again, 700 miles.
It's called a hybrid.
No, but this ain't, when you say hybrid, people think of like a Prius. This thing was like an SUV with an incredible, like a full electric engine that also can do gasoline, as opposed to a hybrid like a Prius where the gas is required to keep charging the engine. You can't charge it separately. It's
called a plug-in hybrid.
All right, whatever.
Okay, I don't know why it is you guys are doing this exactly in terms of disagreeing. I think Amin is generally right when he says that China has surpassed this automobile and they have a finer model, electrical model than Elon Musk does.
David, by way of example, most plug-in hybrids here that are available in the United States get about 100 miles, 150 miles to the charge. This thing gets 700. Like that's a massive difference in terms of performance and efficiency that they've mastered over there, that literally these cars are not available to us here because the tariff structure is such that it is preventing them from entering the market.
I have to change my whole movie review. I was going to review Ed Begley's movie, Who Killed the Electric Car, but you've totally ruined it, so now I can't review that. I'll have to do something else, Dan.
I'd like to do a review of Stugotz in 2018, talking about Elon Musk.
What a quack, Elon Musk. He's lost over $2 billion in the last month. He's going to have to start selling bonds because he needs to raise money. Otherwise, Tesla's going to go under. It's a bad, terrible business model. When all you do is talk about the products you're going to create and then you don't produce them. Where's the revenue? What are you selling? Dreams?
That sounds familiar.
Ideas? What are you selling? You're not selling anything tangible. You're just selling me a bunch of noise. Ha! How about that, Musk?
What?
Oh, you go to Mars with that. Yeah. Stick that in your rocket and smoke it.
Boy, that's a good one.
We play that Chief sound all the time. We should be playing this a lot more often.
This is more right than that Chief sound is wrong, potentially.
This was around the time of that whole cave rescue debacle, I assume. I think that was when a lot of people were like, hang on a second.
I'm sorry, are you saying that take is actually a correct take? I want to make sure I'm getting the show properly. What about
you're not.
what
I
he
can assure
said
you
is
you're not.
accurate?
Let's just start
Okay.
from there.
Because I'm fine with that. But I would point out that far from defending Musk, which I shan't do given his role as an unelected official in the government and what he's doing, I will say that what he's done on the business side for Tesla, notwithstanding the recent slide where there's been a slide all over the place, he has created wealth in a way that prior to Trump becoming president, he was creating wealth for himself with reckless indifference toward other people, obviously, but it's hard to call him not a successful businessman.
What a quack.
you using shan't there, you regret it. No.
I love the word shan't.
All right, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the person who uses the word shan't an asshole?
No.
I'm just asking. What do you mean no? Leave it to the people. They'll decide.
Chris and I are in a shan't.
But why would you use the word asshole in the poll? That is a leading poll that you're getting people to say that that's what I am for using it. That's just not fair, Dan. You're stacking the deck.
What's the word you'd like me to use? Because shan't is the thing that when you go past tense shan't, it just feels like a jerk move.
I think the poll question is, does the person who uses shan't by definition use Grey Poupon?
No,
That's a terrible poll question.
Stick with the original.
Like he comes in here, tells us how to do our show, and he comes in, doesn't know who the Jets quarterback is.
This is why we make you wait to talk, David.
Come in and tells us that Elon Musk, he shan't, be on his side on any other thing other than he makes tons of money.
Have we ever had a poll question come back 101%?
Yes. Thank you, David. Thank you. Yes, the world's richest man makes a lot of money. He's good at that. Yes, that's correct. And also $17 billion in government subsidies in the last 10 years. He's good at that, too. Shan't.
I think I just shan't myself.
All right. I want to ask you guys. Yesterday, I stumbled around. This was bizarre. Of all the things that we got wrong yesterday, this is high on the list. I don't know if the 7 words you can't say on television is still a thing or not. But yesterday I stumbled around on the Spanish word for boobs because I didn't think I could say one of those words, and I don't know what standard I was using. So let's put up the baseball cap here for the Texas Rangers, and we were talking about this right here. And is the 7 words you can't use on television, is that still a thing, David? Network television.
So, yeah, the FCC still has, obviously, that's why there is delays when you watch live shows, because you cannot use those 7 words. Now, it's funny, that's the George Carlin take of it. But I actually, when thinking of the 7 words, I don't think that this is one of them. And this is where you're going to make fun of me. And I did this morning, too, and I did it wrong. Is it tetas?
No, it is not.
Put that in the club, guys.
Please. You could not have said that in a way that was covered in more starch. Tetas.
That's how I said it this morning. I was trying to figure out what is the proper way to say it, and I couldn't.
To be fair, Katie Nolan pronounced it titas.
I heard that too.
Titas on was
Casuals. Yep.
Casuals is the name of her podcast. I told her she's never sound water. She sounded like ketchup on tacos. Titas.
Well, can you say the word, please?
Tetas.
That's what you're gonna. Tetas.
Tetas. Well, you're not.
Tetas.
Tetas.
Tetas. Tetas. Tetas.
It sounds
okay.
It sounds like you're saying tater tots.
Getting creepier.
Start with it like you're starting the first part of Tesla.
Tetas.
There you go. Good
Tetas.
coaching. Billy,
boy,
Billy, a Spanish instructor,
Thank
is
you,
something
Billy.
that I would like to do with you.
David's just been saying tits, 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 tits over and over for 5 minutes.
Dan, also to answer your question, the FCC only applies to over the air, so technically cable can say whatever. That's why on The Shield or some of these other shows they drop F-bombs, which, by the way, they used to not do because the networks, the cable networks, were worried the FCC would then say, hey, we need to extend it over to where cable is as well.
But tetas is one of those words in English,
I don't
correct?
believe so.
You don't think so?
I believe that the
it's obscene and profane is the FCC standard, but the George Carlin bit, it is one of those words, and I think that they get transposed with one another.
Okay, I did not know that. David, how does this happen? How is all of
impossible.
this? What do you mean it's impossible?
It's impossible. So there are so many levels of approval that happen when New Era comes out with a cap. First, the clubhouse manager gets an email that has all of the new designs for the upcoming season for authentic on-field items. But that email goes to the team president, it goes to the head of marketing, it goes to the GM, and then we have to send back an approval that we approve that which baseball has designed. And before baseball sends it to you, they approve it from what New Era sends. So there are multiple levels. So it can't be, and I blame 80% of this on Texas and 20% on MLB and 20% on New Era. And the reason why I'm going 120 is that this mistake is so crazy to me that 100% is simply not enough. To not have the sensitivity or sensibility to proofread or to say out loud. Take a look at do you have a picture? And I didn't prep the video, guys. Sorry. Do you have a picture of the Angels hat by chance? It was also pulled.
Okay, well, we have a picture of an A's hat that was used creatively here. We do not have the ability to immediately get up for you an Angels hat, but we do have the ass hat right here, which is a great insult.
And also a hat that says ass.
It is an ass hat. It's almost unreal that these were not paid attention to by anybody. And everybody, including Texas, has bilingual employees. And so we would check, and of course in Miami, you're much more thinking about that, but we would check everything for am I missing something as a non-Spanish speaking team president. I had a consigliere who was completely bilingual and Cuban, and he would check everything for me to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Yes, but Samson, what about the Astros one that says assholes? They're finger popping each other's assholes. We weren't finger popping each other's assholes.
I think that's one of the words.
Is it? Assholes?
I prefer the anals one, but that's just me. On a Wednesday.
The club, please.
What a great show we're doing. How about the Boban hat? Someone give Boban that hat for his birthday.
Let me hear again. I'd just like to see in the history of South Florida whether boobs has ever been said quite this gringified.
Tatas?
With a question mark.
Tatas? I'm giving you all I got, Captain. Tatas?
It's just asinine.
I got David in the backyard with Taylor Swift with the ball like,
Tatas?
David, Garrett Cole, the Yankee ace, they're paying him an awful lot of money, or what used to be an awful lot of money in this sport. And
Still is.
Now he's going out with Tommy John surgery again. And the human arm is not made to do that. I really don't know or understand the science of how it is that baseball continues to have arms like that break down when paying that much money. Explain to me both the finances and the devastation caused by the Yankees losing that particular pitcher.
Well, it hurts. You're not supposed to sign pitchers to long-term deals because they're never going to work out. The examples maybe are Scherzer and Verlander as two deals that did work out, but the overwhelming majority do not. But owners don't seem to care about the analytics. They get told this by the commissioner's office. We are shown spreadsheets of all of the contracts that we all sign. And it used to be in the early 2000s, Bud Selig would put contracts on the board that were bad, but not call out the teams that did it, not assign it to a player or a team. As his career winded down and as Rob started, they forewent all of that, and they just would put it right up there. Look what the Marlins did, and then they'd go team by team with all the bad contracts. But the real mistake that's happening right now is Yankee fans seem to think that the Yankees have $27 million because of an insurance policy they had on Garrett Cole. But what they're neglecting to understand is while you do get the $27 million, that's the amount of payment from an insurance company after you fight with them. But Garrett Cole's entire salary still counts toward the luxury tax. And so if you take that $27 million and put it back into your team in the form of Sandy Alcantara, as an example, you are going to the next level of luxury tax penalties. So they are not going to reuse that money. They're going to keep that money and use it to pay down debt or use it to balance the books. But it's a real pickle the Yankees are in, but it's of their own making because of the contract they signed.
David, would you say that pitchers are the running backs of baseball in that way? Like they're important, but it's also you don't want to invest.
But running backs aren't paid that way
Yeah.
anymore. Like they're not running backs. They've actually made the position cheaper.
But I mean, I wonder in football, could you get premium running back play with shorter deals?
I get what you're saying.
Right? Like
I mean, that's actually an interesting question. Take a look at a team like the Rays. And what they do and what we tried to do is we want to bring pitchers in pre-arbitration, meaning they're making the league minimum. We want velo pitchers who can throw 96, 98, can touch 100, and we're going to throw them out there until their arm falls off and then cycle through and get the next one. And so that is what front offices have been asked to do for all of these years. And you've seen that starting pitching has become less important because they're not going as many innings. Yet at the top of the market, it stayed where it is. But if you look at the middle class of starting pitchers, they really are being eliminated. And if you look at the middle class of bullpen arms, they're being eliminated because the view is take guys and just cycle through them, and it doesn't really matter whether or not they get hurt. It only matters when you have them long term, which is why teams shouldn't sign the players to these type of deals. You got it, Amin, in the CBA. Basketball did it for the owners, I believe. They put it in that there's a maximum number of years that you can sign a player to.
Yep.
Billy, is he going to recommend, because the Marlins have Sandy cheap, is he going to recommend that the Marlins trade Sandy now because you don't want to start signing these guys long term?
David, do you recommend that the Marlins trade Sandy now because they're not going to sign him long term?
He already is signed long-term. He's in the middle of that long-term contract. Sandy will be on the next contract by the time the Marlins are ready to win again for their next window. He is guaranteed to get traded, but you get more for a starting pitcher at the deadline than you do at the beginning of the season. So while it will cost the Marlins about $8.5 million to throw Sandy every 5 days on a 100-loss team, it is still worth the $8.5 million because of the prospect capital they'll get back at the deadline from a team that is winning and ready to win this particular season.
Well, that's why I guess they put out there the whole thing that they're going to have him on innings limits, so he'll be available in October for a team, which they then went and denied that. Like earlier,
well, they
this
had
week.
to.
Yeah,
Billy.
Sandy said he hadn't heard that, which honestly made last year's trade so weird when they got rid of Arias like a month into the season, where you didn't have the off-season desperation of some teams, and then you didn't have the added desperation of the playoff teams at the deadline, which I didn't really understand the timing of that one.
So position players are less valuable at the deadline and more valuable in the offseason. Pitching is more valuable at the deadline, especially bullpen pitching, than it is during the offseason. So Arias is a position player, and what you had was an over-aggressive general manager and A.J. Preller willing to do what Peter Bendix considered was an overpay, and you knew you weren't keeping Arias. There was no way to do it. So anytime you get an overpay, you're going to pull a trigger.
Do you have a movie that you're going to review for us, or do we knock it out?
No, I have one that I want to talk about, and I really hope that some of you saw it. It's called This is the Tom Green documentary.
I was interested in it, got 10 minutes into it, saw that he was the one doing it, and lost interest.
Did you lose interest in The Last Dance after 10 minutes?
Got him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if my microphone's working, but so yes, Tom Green did do this documentary about himself, and it happens to be a fantastic documentary, and he's not really saying that he's anyone other than who he was. He's someone who had a moment or two of fame. He is someone that now continues to actually do good work, and it goes through some of his trials and tribulations. I was enthralled, and it did not matter to me that he did it, because in this day and age, Dan, people are doing their own content all the time. All the players and all people are involved with their own production companies, and they're really editing their own content. So I didn't find that to be as outrageous as you did, and I was totally entertained and interested. And I went back and I did a double feature after watching the documentary, and I watched Road Trip again, which is a movie that I assume Amin has seen, but nobody else in the room.
I was going to be an extra in that movie. They shot it at Georgia Tech. Yeah.
That would have been your third movie?
I know, man. Oh, look at the career. Got myself a little bit of a career going, but yeah, no, I couldn't make it. That class.
What, you had class?
Yeah.
You're telling me you couldn't be an extra in Road Trip because you had class?
Yeah, I mean, I was just
And
gonna
look where it got you.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you guys not prefer a documentary that is made by people other than the person who is the subject of the documentary, or are you?
I think, of course, unless it's like really good and they have like The Last Dance, they had the archival footage that made it worthwhile. But yeah, you're going to get a different version of the truth.
But that's like also like you were talking about watching the Baldwin show. Like that is just a show for people to kind of like Alec Baldwin again or make him seem relatable after the situation on Rust.
You really made a mistake there, Billy, by talking about that his New York City apartment wasn't big enough. He had everyone going great. And I watched the first episode. I did not watch the second episode yet, but I can't stop. It's sort of like a train wreck. I'm watching it and I can't stop. But when he complained about the size of his New York apartment, that lost the ability to be relatable.
Well, he also, like I was reading, so he bought that originally.
Wait, you have a house in East Hampton with like several different toilets depending on what time of day it is.
Or who's here?
I do not have a house in East Hampton, but thank you for mentioning that.
Well, what's your toilet situation, just so we clarify all of this?
Sitch. We like to call it a sitch.
I have enough toilets that should I have stomach issues, I have an opportunity to let every toilet recover.
Wow.
Okay, and spiritually, I was right. Sorry, Bridgehampton? Oh, I don't know where your house
Nope.
is, David. You've got a lot of toilets. That's my point.
How many toilets do you have? Stop being evasive, and does J. Cole write his own music? We need answers today, people.
I have enough toilets that I'm happy to count for you, but it's going to be 3, 4, 4.5, 5.
What's a half toilet? You have a urinal?
Wow.
A
That would be
half
so
bath
awesome.
is when there's a toilet but not a shower.
I was hoping for the.
Did you? No one's heard that expression
No,
before?
yeah, but I thought we were counting toilets.
But in order to count toilets, I'm counting bathrooms, and then I'm calculating whether they're halves or
He's
fulls.
got 10 bathrooms he could shit all day. That's what he's telling you.
I'm just telling you that I have some stomach issues, and I've got a level of anxiety that leads to stomach issues. I don't stress eat. I'm the opposite of that. And I just had the conversation with Coca today. I said, what do I do if during the live show I have to use the bathroom? Because I've had some emergencies happen during the course of Nothing Personal. And he said the show goes on, wear a diaper if you have to.
That's such a fear of mine. I know it's like a ridiculous fear, but like I used to think about that all the time when we were on 790. Like if I was doing a show and I just have like some sort of stomach issue and we have like a 3-minute break, I'm in really bad trouble. You know what I mean? Like if I was hosting the show and I just had to have a bathroom emergency, I don't think I could do a live show for that very reason.
But also, David, we live in a time where everything's wireless, man. Just grab and take it to the bathroom. See? Grab this thing, the camera's on top of it, sit it down, bring the microphone, hold it right here. And then
I've got the greatest Metal Arc setup of all time. It's a
toilet
camera.
that you're sitting on.
You can't move this stuff to the bathroom.
Billy, you're on a live show right now. Samson,
but-
thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Tatas. See ya.
Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amino Hassan, and sitting right across the table from me right there is Izzy Gutierrez. We want to kind of preview a new series around here. Call it MythBusters, right? And this is where we bring in an expert on the team, and we get to the bottom of whether these things we think about a team are right or not. So let's start the series off with the one and only Claire DeLune. She is an NBA reporter for The Guardian. She focuses on the Lakers and all things LA hoops, including a recent profile of Juju Watkins. Welcome back to the show, Claire.
Thanks for having me. It's so good to be back.
All right, so Claire, we invited you on the show to play a game of Lakers Mythbusters, right? Izzy and I will take turns sharing some statements about the Lakers that may or may not be true. And you, Claire, will make a case as to whether those statements are fact or fiction, or as I like to say, are you telling the truth here? Or are you gonna fold under the bright lights of the interrogation? So you want to get started? You want to start?
You go start. I got to get something that makes me look more like a detective. I got to maybe put on a collared shirt or something.
All right. So
yeah, you kind of just look like you right now, Izzy.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Get into character. That's not going to change. All right. The Lakers' big man rotation of Jackson Hayes, Christian Coloco, Alex Len, and Trey Jemison, not good enough to contend.
I disagree with that one. I think they're still contenders, even with obviously lacking the center position talent-wise. I think they've proven that they can still win, either playing small ball, playing Jackson Hayes limited minutes. I also think Luka Doncic is like a center magician. He can take a C- center and make them look like an A+. He's turned Jackson Hayes into like a bona fide lob threat. And I think he did similar stuff with Daniel Gafford last year. So I think any center who can catch a lob and is on the floor with Luka Doncic automatically raises in level, at least to the naked eye.
So this lawyer has Jackson Hayes as the next Wilt Chamberlain over here. Well, how about this one?
Hey.
How is he going to turn non-shooters into shooters, Claire? The Lakers don't have enough shooting this season.
Bottom third in the league since the trade and three-point shooting. Across the board, they've all been sucky.
Bust that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this has ever been like a team that deeply relied on their three-point shooting, like dating back to the AD era. They have been taking a higher volume of threes since the Luka trade, so I'm sure that has messed with the percentage a little bit. Prior to the Luka trade, they were one of the lowest volume three-point shooting teams in the league, and they now, like last night, I think they took 52 threes, which was like a season high for them, I believe. And Luka, his shooting hasn't looked like Luka shooting. It's taken a minute to get back into form, but I watched him hit 3 threes in a row last night on back-to-back possessions. So I think it's coming back slowly but surely.
What is LeBron's obsession with lasers then? We heard him all the time. Oh, we need lasers. I need lasers out here. All of a sudden, they don't need lasers anymore? They're laser proof?
I think the nice thing I would argue about having LeBron and Luka on the floor together is that they are generating a ton of wide open threes for players like Dorian Finney-Smith. Even Jared Vanderbilt's, corner three-point shooting has gone up substantially. So I think it makes everybody else's job easier from distance when you're drawing two to the ball for Luka, for LeBron at pretty much all times.
I want you to know Amina's not breaking. However, you did crack him a little bit right there where he whispered, "Ooh, that was a good point." You almost got him there, but we're still on you, Claire. All right.
Dagnabbit.
You think he did that on purpose? Man,
I'm with Samson on this one.
He's bought so much with just via Ted Lasso that I would say Jason would never intend for this.
So the way it works when you hire a service processor is their job is to get that lawsuit served. And if Olivia Wilde does not want to be served, you have to sort of spy on her and figure out where she's going to be, where in public she's going to be, and then you just serve her. And that counts as a service of process, but you're always keeping your client in the loop. It's not like you call when it's done and say, "Oh, we found her at Comic-Con, but we didn't know she'd be there, and we just happened to be there, and there she was. What a miracle." There is no way that there's plausible deniability that Ted Lasso did not know that that was happening.
Should have done it at Harry Styles' Coachella set, if you ask me. That's the ultimate vengeance.
Can we talk about how invasive and helpless it must make you feel to be served?
Yeah, it feels like a terrible feeling. I mean, you'll be able to tell us in a couple of weeks, given that you were named in the lawsuit, and you were definitely getting subpoenaed in that thing. I'm even being careful with what I say because it just seems like a whole to-do.
Are you really named
this? She thought Dan got away with talking about politics.
That's funny.
I didn't know that this was on the table for us. Really,
please put me on the stand. Please. I am begging.
You
want to
be served? See the dossier called China.
Please, let's put all this out in public so I can hold up my hands and just be like, I was under oath. It was my legal service and duty to tell you all the things that happened that weren't politics with us at ESPN.
There is zero chance that lawsuit is going to go to a trial where you will be put on the stand. Zero.
I feel like I should go into this lawsuit with Sage Steele just behind her and just say, hey,
Class
give me
action.
10%. Just give me, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm
now you're talking.
80-20 Stugotz is what.
You're a co-defendant and co-plaintiff. First ever. This is amazing.
Help me figure out how to turn this into a thing, Mike, where we can sail on the wings of Sage Steele without doing anything and collide into Disney right now at this moment when they're fighting the state of Florida.
I'm going to be careful with what I say because I genuinely don't want to be subpoenaed. But I was I was both surprised and not, if that makes any sense, because it does seem like a shocking, bold move. Some of the people named in the lawsuit, I was under the distinct impression were strong supporters and allies of Sage during our time over there. But this is also the move to further endear yourself to a certain group. So.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I know what all you want to say, but I think you'd attend my funeral if I died in LA. And I wonder if there is a place where nobody would show up for me when I pass away. I'm having dying dreams, car crash in Tennessee or Santa Monica, my last breath in Raleigh. Need J. Cole to show up and Klay Thompson's daddy, Michael Jordan for sure, and Shaq and Charles Barkley. Oh, what if I die in a Cleveland sports bar or a Boston hot tub or Tampa? I'll make sure I'm done, not in Maine or Mobile, because I belong dying in Arizona. Everyone will be there for me, Arizona. I'm gonna make sure that I'm back from West Hollywood. I'm gonna make sure that I die in Arizona, Arizona.
Jeremy is getting a lot of praise for that song. Amin is taking a lot of heat for saying that a lot of celebrities would attend his funeral depending on what city he died in and where he was buried.
Yeah, I mean, I have strict instructions for my family to bury me as close to where I die as possible. I don't want, people traveling a body across the country. It doesn't really matter where I'm buried, but hopefully it happens in Arizona because I think we'll get a good turnout.
God, Friday was a good show. That was fun. We don't have to criticize that one like we had to do yesterday's show. But I really, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I walked in today with a much bigger head than I've ever had walking in here. And that's saying something because I know that I can be conceited. I have never in my life received the sheer volume of praise from strangers on the internet as I have over the last week for The Day Journalism Died and the Arizona song.
Journalism.
I have never heard the sentence on our show before. I know I can be conceited.
From Jeremy in particular.
Well, but I've just never heard. I mean, Mike embodies that.
If Mike said it, I'd be like, mm-hmm.
But I know I can be conceited is not something I've ever heard from anyone on this show.
You have Mike having the self-awareness to think that he...
Oh, he knows he's smug. Oh, my God, yes. Yes.
But he never admitted.
The number of times that I, allegedly his boss, say something to him and he responds with, "You sound like my wife?" Yes. Yes.
No. Woman.
It's been incredible, though, guys. I mean, I feel like Honestly,
an acceptance
I'm a little,
speech?
yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. No, because I'll tell you, I'm now worried about the next time that I show up with a parody song, because this sort of feels like, when an artist works for years and years and years at their craft,
You should
and
retire.
they ultimately finally release the album
I
that
agree
gets
with
the
Billy. Go
praise.
out on top.
I'm
that
worried,
I might
yeah, you
look
should
the
just
praise that
retire.
they were
Stop
looking for. I
doing
could
them.
do the Billy Joel thing.
Yeah,
I
'cause
could
we
just
care
say I've
about
got
you.
enough songs in my heart that I've put out there, and it's over, and I can quit on top. But I want to persevere, and I want to know what it feels like to
No.
follow up the hit album with another hit. But now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm nervous about it, and I feel like it has to be a really artistic endeavor,
No.
so it might be a minute before I come back with what I'm hoping will be my magnum
You're
opus.
acting like this is a debut album.
Yeah.
It's like your
That's how it felt.
17th album. All right, you
Yeah,
finally
you're right.
have a
And
hit.
that's
All
what it
right,
takes,
Jesus.
man. REM, it took years and years and years and years for REM, and then one night they become an overnight success. And they say it takes 10 years to become an overnight
You're
success.
just like REM.
That's what I've long said.
You don't deserve this mental anguish. You really should just stop. Like
ego.
I think you accept the success and just.
I feel the pressure
don't
of the
put
people,
yourself through it.
Billy.
You don't
The
deserve
people
it.
need more. They've been asking for it.
No.
They've really told me that this is something that's made them
All right, that's
feel
enough,
better,
Jeremy.
and it's something that I'm
What is
proud of.
But I
happening
think you need
with this,
to worry
Chris?
about you, not them, so much.
I'm not a selfish guy. I might be conceited, but I'm not
All right,
selfish.
this is wild Wild Billy Wednesday, and I need you to take control of the situation here, Billy. Yes, I need some governance over what's happening here, where Jeremy feels the need to give an acceptance speech when he gets some applause around here. I need you to help him with culture.
One applause for 3.5 years. I think I can live in this one.
Tell Billy how it really. Billy, we need you to bring him back down to earth.
That's what we need.
Well, no, I'm telling you, I'm worried about his
That's
mentals.
what you guys do to him every day. To be
Lasso him down from the clouds and pull him back down here, Billy.
Do you want me also talking about joining the Marlins TV broadcast, or?
Well, was that a reward?
Well, that's something. Yeah, for the songs. Yeah,
I'm just saying you've got to go to 40 Marlins games.
Yeah, that's a
You got to
reward.
watch them lose.
Yeah, they're gonna pay me to do it.
Okay,
It's
well,
awesome.
that part's
TV.
good.
It's
That
kind of
part-
cool.
That part is good. Yes, congratulations. We are
Thanks.
happy for you.
Good week.
That is a real Meadowlark
Scab.
victory there that you can scab.
Well, I mean,
Scab?
I'm just saying. I saw how
That's
things
not how,
seemed to
that's not
fall
how it
apart,
works.
and then
That's
all
not
of a
how it
sudden,
works. That's not how it
Jeremy
went
just
down.
slides
It's
his
not
up
how it
and
went
scab.
down. You jerk.
Scab.
How are you doing this?
He's doing it because we gave him the lasso.
Justice for Jessica. Blaylock.
Wow.
Scab.
You jerk.
This right here is Scott Stapp playing. This looks just like the Creed singer when he was young. Does it not?
Those eyebrows.
Wow, we're really gonna play this, huh? I think there's probably copyright issues.
I wanted
Breathy.
to. I wanted to talk about
My
a
wife is
couple
hot.
of things that made an appearance yesterday that delighted me. One of them was the return of Rich Rodriguez scolding us while being the West Virginia coach. It was just delightful to see him back there again, and then saying that his players can no longer dance on TikTok. He has forbidden it.
Dan, I read that story, and I swear to God, I checked the date. I said, wait a second, did they have TikTok in 2007? And then I realized, oh, this is current. This is right now.
You didn't know he was the West Virginia coach. You thought this was some like old aggregated story.
Yeah, I didn't know he came back.
Yes, it's wonderful. And somebody else came back yesterday in a similar way, where you Jim Boeheim, you got to understand that this person, Jim Boeheim, when he won a championship with Carmelo Anthony, solidified himself as a legendary coach in the sport. But they couldn't rein him in. And this has been the case for a couple of years with Boeheim. Like, Boeheim was on the loose with drunk with power the last couple of years at Syracuse, holding on to a legacy that almost refused to be tarnished. But listen to Jim Boeheim on a broadcast, and the broadcaster's trying to reel him in and can't.
Observing Ramadan. I love it. And looked like a brief prayer there for a moment. I love it. Took the commitment this young man has made. It's amazing. It is amazing. And to be able to do what he's done, not just tonight, but also you go back to Saturday, a 4 overtime game, doesn't have any fluid until the third overtime. Right. You really got to take your hat off to a young man that's that committed.
Yeah. 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock in Iceland. Our president says we're going to own that country anyway, so we can make that exception.
How did we get there? Let's talk about basketball. Mady Sissoko has earned.
So Mady Sissoko, the player they're talking about for Cal, is fasting for Ramadan, right? And this is during conference tournament time for them, a pretty important time. But he's observing, and so that means he breaks his fast in the middle of these games. And you heard the announcer talk about there was a triple overtime game, and he didn't get to break it until late in that game. And this isn't the norm, right, in terms of American sports. It's the norm among Muslim athletes, but it's not the norm of American sports. And I think when most people are presented with hey, this guy's, however well you think he's playing, he's doing this and he hadn't had anything to eat or drink all day, not even water. That sip of water right there, that's his first fluid of the day since before the sun up. And Jim Boeheim, who is a legend, Dan, and a great coach, and coached a lot of great people. But rather than absorb that information in that moment, he goes to this weird ass joke where it's like, well, it's 8 o'clock somewhere, basically it's 5 o'clock somewhere, happy hour thing. And as if that wasn't enough, I'm going to lump in some dumbass rhetoric.
Get the wrong country.
Yeah, it's the wrong country.
It's Iceland.
Greenland. Yeah, it's Greenland, not Iceland. And then also, even if he got it right, it's some dumbass rhetoric.
Well, not surprising, right? That a caveman from another time would have very little connection to Ramadan. But I want to, as someone who is fasting and as someone who's fascinated in me by athletes trying to do this with religious rigor, I don't think of you as a spiritual person. I think of you as generally somebody who is a bit of a cynic about God. And so where you partake in the disciplines of what are you doing? What do you don't think you think of yourself?
Cynic about God? You trying to get me sent to hell in the holiest
very
month on the
strong
calendar?
take right there. I mean, you ain't God, right?
He called me Catholic to my core once. I have never forgotten that.
So you love God too much, and Amin hates God. Where's the middle? Who loves God just enough around these parts?
Down the middle, Chris. Here I am.
Lewis?
Excellent, Billy.
Gotti locks over there.
Lewis. Wild Billy Wednesday. Lewis is what he says. Just inside, on top of inside, on top of inside. I do want that music to introduce him on Wednesdays. I want Wednesdays. This is one of the most iconic sounds anywhere in the history of sound right here. Look at Billy delighted because he threw the show to Lewis.
No, I'm worried we're going to get flagged on YouTube for playing that
I was about to say,
sound.
how much of that can we play?
Ramadan, you being someone who is strict and disciplined about this means that this means something to you deeply.
It does, but also, Dan, like I said, it's rare, but it's not the first occurrence. It happens every year, obviously, and every year there are athletes, and we talk about some of them. We don't talk about others. And so I don't think this is Jim Boeheim's, or should not be Jim Boeheim's, first encounter with this concept. Hakeem Olajuwon won NBA Player of the Month one year while fasting in Ramadan. His numbers got better while fasting during Ramadan. He was a better athlete. He says, I think I'm better when I'm fasting because I'm more focused. So this isn't like the first time we ever heard of anything. And again, Jim Boeheim is a guy in basketball. So for this to be the first time, I mean, heck, Kyrie last year, when he hit that left-handed floater to win the game, remember when Dallas was good? Wow. That was while he was fasting. And so these are not stories that should be arriving, no matter how old Jim Boeheim is. For someone who's in basketball, it should not be arriving on his shore for the first time. And yet it's also not as commonplace enough so, you can make jokes, dumb jokes about it, instead of saying, wait a second, this guy is playing like this without the aid of regular sustenance? It staggered me that there was no part of him, just as a basketball coach, that was appreciative of the effort that was being played there.
The part of no water is the part that is hard to get my head around. Trying to play basketball in a weakened state where I don't know what the effects are on the body, but I imagine that they're cruel.
It's just amazing. You would think Boeheim is just a guy who's an old school gamer, would just appreciate everything that is, and that he would be someone accenting this is so impressive, because he's seen how many legendary players go through moments of trial and tribulation and tournaments and all of these moments, and then, you know, not come up with performances like this. The fact that this guy was doing it while fasting is amazing. You'd think he appreciated it.
Not to justify what he said, but apparently this was like he had done multiple games in this night, so this is an old man delirious.
After Greg Cody at the end of the show.
Games.
Yeah, he called the Notre Dame Pitt game earlier in the day, and then he was on the call.
Iceland,
for this one.
8 p.m. What time is it?
How old is Boeheim at this point? Because maybe we do grandfather him in on just let Grandpa just talk. Let it unspool. See where we end.
What time is it in Iceland?
Dan, I'm gonna tell you right now, if anyone else had made that argument, I would have been like, well, no. But the fact that it was Chris, and then Greg's face popped into my head, I was like, oh yeah, good point. Never mind.
How do we feel, though, about Rich Rodriguez telling his players no more TikTok dancing?
No
it doesn't represent
I think
the
it's
things
stupid.
that we are.
Jessica, not no more TikTok.
No more dancing.
No more TikTok
He's like
dancing.
the town in Footloose. Like, no dancing. You guys can do, like, lip sync videos, I guess, but you can't dance.
He's Jerry Orbach. You could do get ready with me videos. You could do makeup
What's
tutorials.
for lunch? You can do what's for lunch.
What's for lunch?
Like, dancing on TikTok, like, every football team does these. Like, basketball teams do them. They're so innocuous. It's not like this is, like, a massive distraction.
It's modern day bonding.
I kind of am, like, giving this a little bit of side eye where I'm like, why dancing, though?
But the crazy thing is he's not even talking about it as it being a distraction, because he made clear you're not banned off of social media. Have at it, guys. Scroll doom scroll to the end of time. But he said, quote, I'm just banning them from dancing. Look, we try to have a hard edge, whatever, and you're out there in your tights dancing on TikTok. It ain't quite the image of our program that I want. But
Bells are a-ringing.
Hold on. He goes on to say, this is my favorite part. Like I said, 30 years from now, if they want to be sitting in their pajamas in the basement eating Cheetos and watching TikTok or whatever the hell, they can go at it. Smoking cannabis, whatever. Knock yourself out. But hopefully their focus can be on winning football games. How about let's win the football game and not win the TikTok? The TikTok.
There's
major side eye.
You don't just win the Conference USA as a Jacksonville State Gamecocks by dancing on TikTok, which is exactly what he did. Defending champion, CUSA 2024.
Jessica, I don't think that's major side eye. I think that major has been promoted to at least general.
I can give him eye contact and be like, what do you mean by tights?
Did he say the marijuana?
Smoking cannabis.
Oh, cannabis.
Smoking cannabis.
Not doobies, though.
Well, there is a formality to saying smoking cannabis, and I don't know why Jeremy said bells are a-ringing.
Oh, because
I
he
felt
was
like
being
Christmas
homophobic.
Carol-y.
I was just ringing the this is homophobic bell.
Okay, bells are a-ringing is the way you chose
Bells
to
are
say
a-ringing,
that.
which was also pretty gay.
Okay, bells are a-ringing. The thing that stunned me in all of this is Jessica making a Footloose reference, because I did not believe that a movie with Kevin Bacon,
Jerry Orbach too, right?
letting off steam by going to dance in a warehouse, a time I long for. Do you long for, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, do you long for the day when people blew off steam by dancing at a warehouse? I did not know that Footloose resonated today in any way.
Dan, were you a Footloose or a Dirty Dancing person? Because in the 80s, guys, I don't know if you know this, in the 80s, you had to pick one. You could not have both.
I feel like, wasn't Dirty Dancing a little later than Footloose? I felt like Footloose was the groundbreaker on we're going to dance like white people all over the place. And then all of a sudden, Footloose was a different time.
3 years apart.
87 Dirty Dancing.
And
Footloose was 1984.
I think of Footloose as an ancient movie, and an ancient movie that there's no way, like Dirty Dancing might hold up. There's no way Footloose holds up.
I feel like I can't win. If I make a reference that's too current, it goes over everyone's head. If I make a reference from the 80s, it's like, how do you know that? If I talk about Columbo, I'm an old person now.
This is you winning.
Doesn't matter what decade my reference is from. It's wrong.
There's
This
also
is you speaking my language, Footloose.
A remake of Footloose also in 2011.
Feet Loose?
No, that's the sequel.
I saw a story that Kevin Bacon apparently, I don't know if this was like butt cracked or whatever. I saw this at like 2 a.m. the other night, ball sack, or butt crack. Kevin Bacon like doesn't want them to play this Footloose song at weddings that he goes to, so he asked the DJ not to play it. I hope it's true because I'm doing a Dan right now where I'm like, I saw a thing and I did zero verification. But that makes me so sad that they're just like people just circle him when they play the song from Footloose and they're like, do a dance.
So Jessica, I'm delighted because my first reaction was like, he's going to weddings like that he was invited to, and it's not his wedding, and he's telling the DJ what to play, what not to play. What a jerk. And then I remembered I went to Modak Hill's wedding last summer in Hawaii, and the DJ was awful. And at one point I said, look around. Everyone here is over the age of 35. Just play 90s R&B and early 2000s, and you're going to win every single thing. And he looked at me and said, you got it. And by the time I walked back to the dance floor, he played Not Like Us. I was like, you asshole. What are you doing, man? This is a family event. What are you doing? I don't want to hear about pedophiles at a wedding.
Just crushing Mo's DJ. Yeah. Jeez.
He deserved to be crushed.
Have you told Mo this?
Yeah, I podcasted about it.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, wait. I found the story in Entertainment Weekly. Apparently, Kevin Bacon revealed at South by Southwest. Do you guys remember we went to South by Southwest?
Yeah.
It's like the 3-year anniversary.
The Four
of that?
Seasons anniversary.
They always start out about being about the bride, and then there's alcohol involved, Bacon said. And by about 10:30, the song comes on, and suddenly the wedding becomes about me getting out and dancing. People literally form a circle around me and clap their hands like I'm a trained monkey.
That's brutal.
So
what a rough life he
Oh,
had.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin Bacon. People recognize you from that one thing. Oh, maybe we should remember him for Hollow Man.
Oh, wow.
I feel like I associate 6 Degrees of Separation from Kevin Bacon and then Footloose.
This would be like me being like, hey, don't do word combos to me.
Wait a minute.
At a wedding.
You were really disrespectful to Kevin Bacon there while just dismissing him by slapping him across the face with a Hollow Man.
I mean, he made that movie. I didn't make it. I saw it, though.
Kevin Bacon has had a distinguished career. You're dismissing Kevin Bacon. Wait a minute. What are you saying that for? You don't believe Kevin Bacon would be an all-star if he were in the NBA?
No.
As a basketball player, no.
The air up there, ever seen that one? He dribbles looking at the ball and bouncing up and down.
You don't believe that Kevin Bacon's career would be all-star game worthy?
I think he's like Udonis Haslem. He'll get like his jersey retired by one team, but not a Hall of Fame.
Not even. What team would retire his jersey?
One movie. That movie would.
He's the Jamal McGlure of movies.
I mean,
kind of disagree.
On IMDb, it says known for, and it's Footloose, Hollow Man, The Woodsman,
see?
Mystic River.
Hollow Man was the second thing on his call sheet,
Yeah.
man. Yes, Jamal McGlure.
One all-star game.
Yes.
You give Kevin Bacon one all-star game that everyone questioned because he scored 12 points a game.
You guys back me up on this.
Yeah, who do you have him being?
He's obvious. He's got. You know what? You think that he's Demolition Man. He's not.
Let's get a couple players to compare and put it on the poll. Is Kevin Bacon blank?
Kevin Bacon has had a career that has resonated for 4 decades.
Yeah.
You know, now that I look at it, like he's in all of these massive movies, but he's not the lead. Like he's in
like Jamal McGlure.
But he's in A Few Good Men.
Did Chris Bosh?
Yeah, but he's not Tom Cruise or Jack Nicklaus.
Chris Bosh had his own team, his own franchise where he was an all-star.
But then wanted to go be a smaller piece.
He's like Clint Howard.
Clint Howard's a good name. Clint Howard's a real good name. In a lot of stuff.
He's had a great career.
Great career. Working actor. Gets in a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's in JFK.
Sure.
Apollo 13.
Sure. He played on a lot of great teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's Kenny Smith?
No.
Kenny Smith played for one great team.
Shane Battier?
No, Shane's
because Shane was great in college.
Yeah, Shane's too good. I got to think about something. It's got to be someone like Jimmy.
James
Posey.
Shane never made an All-Star game.
James Jones. James Jones. That's who he is. He's the James Jones. Long career, championships with some great teams.
Kevin Bacon has to be considered somebody as a name in the movies and television that you associate with being in good things.
Nah, I mean name recognition. He's got a good name. Yeah, he's like it's like James Jones is a good one because it's also like James Jones went to multiple All-Star weekends in the 3-point contest, but not All-Star games.
Billy brings up a good point though. I don't know if Kevin Bacon's is famous if his name is Kevin Jones.
But by the way,
or Kevin Sausage.
A great James Jones tidbit, right? So James Jones, obviously, he's the GM of the Suns. And I have friends who work for the Suns when he first started, or not when he first started, but like earlier in his career. And they were like, oh, yeah, we call him Champ. And I said, you call him Champ? I said, yeah. He said, that's what his nickname is. You guys know why he's nicknamed Champ, right? And everyone who worked for the Suns thought it's because won championship in Miami, won championship in Cleveland. And I said, no. His nickname is Champ because when he was in Miami, he won the three-point shootout at All-Star Weekend, and everyone in Miami started calling him Champ. But he basically went to Phoenix and just said, yeah, Champ, and didn't clarify
why would you?
What the Champ was.
But why would you? If your nickname was Champ, you got to go with the better Champ there.
Champ's like one of the most condescending nicknames, right? It's like Buddy. Like you call someone Buddy, it's like not great. If you call someone Champ, you don't want to be called Champ.
I'm going to do a top 5 condescending nicknames.
Well, but unless you've actually won the heavyweight title and they're calling you Muhammad Ali, they're calling you Champ after you've played, right? Or after your career is over.
Chris has a good question that I think we need to explore a little further.
I'm wondering what other breakfast food he could have as a name that would also have a good career as an actor.
So like instead of Kevin Bacon, he's Kevin Eggs.
I don't think we'll beat Kevin Bacon. I'm asking
Kevin
Dan.
Sausage?
I'm asking the question.
Kevin Omelet would be good.
Kevin Waffles?
Kevin Omelet
Kevin
is
Waffle.
really good. Kevin Waffles has to be a comedian, though.
Or he does like kids shows.
It's a singular waffle.
All right, let's give a ha-ha-hole welcome to Kevin Waffle.
That is a clown. That's a zany clown.
Yeah, for sure.
Kids clown.
Kevin Dutch Baby.
Kevin Corned Beef and Hash. We're workshopping.
All right, keep working. Keep working on that. We can circle back around at any point. By the way, selling like hotcakes. If you guys want to give me some hotcakes information,
Kevin Flan.
Kevin Flan's an action hero.
That's a Hall of Famer.
Kevin Grit.
That's a good one.
It would have to be grits, right?
Yeah, but I'm just
one.
Just a single.
To me, the name is more powerful.
Yeah,
than
the
Grit.
sequel is Kevin Grits.
Dan, I've got a top 5 condescending nicknames.
All right, number 5,
Buddy.
Number 4,
Pal.
Just Terrence and Phillip.
Number 3, Champ. Number 2, Sport. And number 1, Chief.
I was thinking Buddy had to be number 1, but that was a good list.
Chief, man.
Chief. All right, Chief.
Yep. You say Chief, it's automatic. Things
Relax,
escalated.
Buddy. I think Buddy might. I like Buddy and Chief.
Chief is excellent. And Chief is excellent for a number of reasons, including anyone who's using it, jackass.
Did you say Champ?
Champ?
That's
Yep.
like what a stepdad calls a kid. Like, Champ's never used.
No. It never used condescendingly?
Is it?
All the time.
To me, it's like, hey, good job, Champ.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's like stepfather genuinely
No.
talking to a young kid.
I'll take it from here, Champ.
Kevin Parfait.
Kevin Danish.
Kevin Yogurt would. Kevin Yogurt.
Croissant.
Kevin I wouldn't like that. No. Kevin Oatmeal.
Yeah, we're just naming
Kevin
breakfast
Chicharron.
foods. Yeah,
Kevin Pop-Tarts.
Kevin Hash Browns.
Yeah, Kevin Kale Smoothie. Yeah, just keep.
Kevin Lucky Charms.
Kevin Kale.
Yeah,
Not bad.
just go ahead.
Kevin
keep going.
Ham.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
What if he's
that
just
one
a
works.
different meat?
Oh, that's
Related
where
to
you-
John Ham?
No, Kevin Sausage is good.
Kevin Sticky Bun.
Billy's initial Kevin Sausage.
Kevin Guanciale.
Kevin Syrup.
You guys are. I think you're right. You have revealed a bias to me that I am elevating the career of Kevin Bacon because I just like bacon.
Kevin Bottomless Mimosas.
And the cheekbones. He's
Kevin
got great
Frittata.
cheekbones.
Natural or what do we think?
Yeah,
Really?
I think natural.
Ozempic.
I mean, I wanted to get your thoughts here as the host of Oddball and somebody who hasn't. I have not heard your thoughts
Kevin Beef.
on Stephen A. and LeBron's confrontation. Stephen A. has gone on Gil's Arena podcast, and he says now, because this is the tone that is a bit different than the apologetic one, and all of its content and all of it is good for everybody, I would say, except for Bronny. This is good for, I think LeBron buys himself something with being a father in this situation and defending his son. But now Stephen A. has escalated during a slow content week. He's saying, I thought it was weak what LeBron did at the Lakers game confronting him. I thought it was some bullshit. But in the moment, I knew that I was listening to a father, end quote. He also says that he remembers looking during a timeout in the first quarter, and he saw Bronny looking at him, and he saw a sad look on his face. And he's imagining that LeBron saw that and that shit hit him, end quote. Oh. So now he's interpreting Bronny's face.
So, Dan, you missed Friday's show. We were live when Stephen A. Smith tweeted the original, hey, I didn't want to talk about this, but since it went viral, I have no choice but to address it on First Take. We even sent Tony out into the hall out here to be our correspondent, come back with the quotes. I reread the quotes in Stephen A. Smith's voice, and we were all staggered. Based on that setup, we thought, oh, he's coming with the fire. He's coming with the flamethrower. He was so weepy and apologetic. It's the Stephen A. Smith voice when he goes real quiet and real sad. And so I thought to myself, I said, wow, this must have hit him harder, I guess. And then he goes on Gil's Arena, not his show, because he did First Take, and then later on he did the Stephen A. Smith show. He didn't do any of this over there on the shows that he owns. He goes on Gil's show, and now he's talking all this wild cash stuff. Like, I'm disappointed, not just in you this week, but I'm disappointed in him because that's what I wanted on his show, as opposed to going and outsourcing it to a place where I guess chaos rules a little bit more freely.
That show, Gil's Arena, has become popular, and they've been waiting for Stephen A. to make this appearance. You guys you've told me before that you get a little tired of me talking about this, but I am fascinated by our business, and he's climbed to the top of it, evolving better than most, at least in part because he can keep pushing the envelope into places where he is now in all of the power settings, and he can be the news while he's in the middle of it. And as you said, can't go to a movie theater because his kind of fame, they should call it ASPN right now. They should just, as part of the new contract negotiations, just rename it ASPN.
But pronounce it ASPN?
ASPN.
Stephen ASPN.
Just ASPN, because he has gotten more and more power and now can make the news and create content for a whole bunch of people during a week by having a confrontation that he's rewarded from when LeBron gets so agitated with "Don't tell me how to be a father" on television. Because people are doing something reductive here with this, where they're just saying, "What do you mean we can't criticize Bronny?" It ain't that. It's absolutely "Don't tell me how to be a father" on television.
Dude, that it took me the weekend to figure that out. That LeBron wasn't upset that he was criticizing Bronny. LeBron was upset that he was criticizing LeBron as a father, which is like, oh, okay, now I see that. But I looked over at Bronny and I saw how sad he was. Come on, man. Come on. That's you know what? It's hilarious. It's hilarious because he's sitting baseline cat a corner from the bench. And the idea that, like, Stephen A. Smith, he's with Ari Emanuel over here, and he's over here with Larry David, and, like, okay, we're at Lakers-Knicks. And he looks over, and he just sees Bronny doing this. I'm like, oh.
Kevin Blueberries.
Blueberries!
And then LeBron, who's, like, warming up and stretching, and then he looks over and he says, what's wrong with Bronny? Why is Bronny doing that? And he looks at Bronny. Oh, that's another one of those deep sighs. That's what kids do, by the way. Billy, your kid's gonna get to this age soon. Chris, yours might be at this age where they think like, oh, I won't actually ask, hey man, can we go out for ice cream? I'll just go, so dad will say, what's wrong? Like, I just wish we could have something like ice cream. I'm like, well, I wish someone would just ask it straight up instead of deep sighing. So Bronny's deep sighing, LeBron's like, all right, I'm not gonna ask. But then he sees which way Bronny's looking. That's Stephen. That Larry David next to him? That's Stephen. I'm going to go say him right now. And then he walks up to him, and in Stephen A's mind, that's how it all went
Do you
down.
guys find funny that Shannon Sharp is trying to fight the Grizzlies courtside? Like that the media is climbing into this space in a way that is cartoonishly beyond wherever Howard Cosell was as the lead broadcaster and face for media and media company. Do you guys find that interesting or not so much? Just bored by it?
Personally, I kind of hate it.
You got to fight someone, Jeremy.
Yeah.
A fist fight on the sidelines of the Marlins
Yeah,
games?
Jessica would have.
That's right.
She would have.
You guys don't even realize the Molotov cocktail that Billy is throwing my way with that one. He is an anarchist?
Kevin Coleche.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Now that's a star.
I do the opposite of what you were saying kids do. Like, if I want ice cream, I go, Graceland, go tell mommy we should get ice cream.
That's smart.
Does it work?
Sometimes. Multiple steps ahead.
Sometimes I get caught. We were walking out of a restaurant the other day, and there was a Cold Stones right there. So I'm like tapping my daughter. I'm like, look, right. And my wife looks back and sees me pointing at the Cold Stones, like, tell mommy we should go. And I'm just like, oh, I was stretching my arm.
Can't you just go?
It was a school night. It was past 8:30. My wife has this thing past 8:30.
Did you still have homework to do, Chris?
No, but my daughter needs to go to sleep, by 9.
What's your wife's thing about 8:30?
8:30, she wants like us to be like, we can't go get ice cream at 8:30 on a school night. Like 8:30, we either need to be out of the restaurant. If we're going out to eat on a school night, we need to be out by 8:30 is the rule.
Chris, the funny thing is you said sometimes they get caught, and I thought it was because your kid would mess up and say, Dad wants it. And no, your kid is actually great at
I have her
this.
trained. Yeah.
She knows
to cover me.
You're the one who's messing up.
Yes.
When I see family patterns develop in that household, like you understand that she is telling Chris Cody as if he were a toddler. Not after 8:30.
Oh, it's to Graceland she says that, but I know the rule because I'm an adult.